So I gotta say, when I watched, we're gonna start this thing. By the way, your hair's good right now.
I This is fresh,
That is brand new shit going on.
fresh from today, fresh
That's awesome.
out of the salon, as they say.
Man, dude.
Meaning
Yeah,
meaning my wife, not the.
sure. Right. You got no roots or anything, man.
No, she went in and bleached the roots that were going back in, and then laid
Yeah.
the purple on top of it. This might be my last time doing purple because I want to experiment with some other colors, and I think I might do a green next time.
Kick ass.
But I'm enjoying the purple, so now I know if for some reason I don't like another color, that this is always a go to for me because I always like how it looks.
Sure. Just gonna leave the beard natural.
Coloring a beard seems a bit overkill.
Does it?
Yeah, like the only people that I think can get away with coloring their beards are like, you would see like Dimebag Daryl. He would have like a pink, but he just had the little
Yes.
he had just the goatee thing going,
Right.
and so he
Right.
would dye it, and that was kind of cool. But I think like with a big ass beard, I feel like I would just look like a clown or something.
Well,
I don't
is
know.
that bad?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to look like a clown.
Well, okay. That's coming from a guy who looks like a clown.
You
So,
don't. You don't. You look kind of like a gnome now.
I can
There you go.
Yeah, look, I got this one brand new just for your show.
Oh, wow. Where did you get
Yeah.
that one from?
I got it from an antique mall. I'm gonna try to like represent when we do these things, you know what I mean? I want your viewers to know that I'm making an effort.
I thought you were going to say, I want your viewers to know that I'm a little weird.
Oh, well, sure, there's that. I'm sure they found that out immediately, right?
So,
Right, viewers?
so
Yeah.
who's in the background there?
Oh, right. So then I thought maybe I put somebody up there and we could have an internet challenge and we could see if anyone who watches the video knows who I have up there.
So I don't, but yeah, let's leave it. Let's leave it for the internet challenge
Okay.
to find out. Like put in your comments who you think that is. Speaking of that, I was actually wanting to. By the way, welcome to Summum Bonum.
Summum Bonum. Yeah.
Summum Bonum. Bonum.
Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? We said we weren't
I
going to
barely know him.
Bonum. Right. Bonum. It's Bonum. Summum.
It's all
Summum
about
Bonum.
John
Summum Bonum.
Bonham.
It's Latin.
John Bonham.
John Bonham. I wish that this would play over this thing, but I don't think it's going to.
Summum bonum.
No.
Oh yeah, it
Did
did.
it? Yeah. Okay, well, that's fantastic.
Summum Bonum.
Right.
Summum bonum. Summum bonum.
So
Summum bonum.
the remix.
Yes.
So like if you guys now that's the name of the show. We weren't going to speak it last time, but fuck it, we
Right.
make the rules here, and it's Summum Bonum.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the way
And
that sounds because if you just said that name to somebody, like I'm going to go watch Summum Bonum, they'd be like, "Watch what?"
yeah, right. Sonny and Cher, what? Sonny, what? I don't even know
You're
what's
going to
going
watch
on.
someone do what?
Yeah, someone Bonum. You're gonna watch someone bone them.
Someone.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch someone bone them. Yeah.
No, what I
So
was, what I wanted,
it's
what I wanted to
go ahead.
do, I was going to say what I wanted to do at the beginning of the episode is because, you were looking at like the engagement we were getting on our first two
Yes.
episodes, and I was like, well,
Yes.
why don't we go and like look at some of the comments and maybe respond to them, and like maybe that'll bring the people watching this episode,
Okay.
bring a little bit more interaction in the show here. So
By the way, is that Phil Collins on your shirt?
that is Phil Collins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love Phil Collins with all my heart. And he's got,
That is
if you look at it, he's got a tambourine shoved in his trousers.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Is that a tambourine shoved in your trousers, or are you just happy to see me? Right. Okay.
Hold on, let me go to this because I want to go to the comments.
Okay.
So let's go to the last episode here, and then viewing the comments. Well, it looks
Well,
like
this
looks like we only got like one. we we got one comment that says "ahoy," so
Ahoy.
clearly they're out on a boat.
Yeah,
And-
does that, by the way, when you read that one, does it say underneath translate?
Mhm.
Yeah, like if you hit translate, it would say something else.
Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
then Weed Nose said something about the T1000 being lowered into a bowl of cereal. No breakfast but what we make.
Yes, that's because
I
we
lo-
were talking about breakfast cereals. Remember, we were going to talk about making a
oh,
T2 breakfast cereal.
oh yeah, breakfast cereals have been happening a lot. We did
Oh,
that
a lot.
on Cranked and Ranked. We talked about
Yes,
breakfast
you did.
cereals,
You did. Yes,
and
you
I don't
did.
eat cereal anymore. But you would
No,
think that. All right, hold on.
so that's weird.
I'm gonna go back
Extra
to
weird.
episode 1 because I know
Yeah.
we
Nope.
have comments there. So let's.
Okay.
Why is it only showing one comment? I thought we had. Oh, that's what it is. Sorry, this is me learning how to use this app while you guys are watching.
Okay. Is it called YouTube? Is the app called YouTube?
No, it's YouTube Studio for people that put videos out there. But if I do like this, okay, all right. So last time we have, let's see, BTC. Oh, I should put my fucking glasses on. Who am I?
Yeah, man, there's no way you're
Who
going to get that
am
without
I
that.
kidding?
Yeah.
BTC Moon Guy said kind wind. Oh, kind
Yeah,
wind.
because we were
Uh,
talking about Kill Whitey having a reunion and putting Kind Wind on the
It
on the
says it says
key.
LOL and the Embarrassments 1981 self-titled 5-song EP is one of my all-time favorite albums. Okay. I also I would love to have Heavy Bag, especially the EJ recordings
Yeah,
and
we talked about that.
or D on vinyl. Oh, well, wouldn't we all, man? We would love fun chat. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is fun chatting. And then Jason, oh man, he always does longer things, but
Yeah, long ones. They're good though.
I was on board right when you'd go about covering 2 genre bending non rock music tracks. Oh, so this is about my
Yep.
songs that I have since finished and are now out on
Dude, I saw that.
Apple Music and Spotify
Okay.
and all the stuff. It's there.
Okay.
Which one do you which streamer do you use?
No, I don't use any of them, but what I saw was new music from Old Head, that 2 minute and 18 little tag thing that you have. You just posted it today or yesterday? When did you
Yeah,
post that?
yesterday. So it's that.
Okay.
So you can go download it from Bandcamp too for
Oh,
free.
okay, right on.
And
Great.
then, but it's also on all the streamers. Like if you ever decided to use a streamer, it would be
Those tunes that you sent me.
yes, they're up. They're up for the world to hear.
Nice.
So it's so he also says Jason Sama said for us, me and my band back in the days, these infamous 2 oddball cover songs every '90s garage or basement band would have. In our case, were Material Girl. Oh, nice. I love me some Madonna.
Right.
The arrangement sounding like a punky prong or corn style song. And these boots were made for walking, arranged in a way so it'd morph into a crescendoed, yeah, not a word, crescendoed.
Right. Crescendoed. Yeah,
So
crescendo.
Blues Brothers Rawhide finale. Oh, okay, yeah. Sound wise, think like a playful scatterbrain. Ooh, I like scatterbrain. Verse
Yep.
type shtick paired with early Machine Head type urgency and pathos. Good times. I want the friggin' '90s back and never go away again. How dare they in the first place? I agree with that, sir.
That was mean. That was mean. They took them away.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why does time have to move on like that?
I don't know. It's
Um,
weird.
and then we get in like a a situation like we're in now, where I'm like, can time just hurry up and move on?
Right, right, right.
Show even comes with Easter eggs. 1 hour 52 minutes in, I suddenly realized the BL pick up on Mark's wall, and I finally understand the camouflage concept art aspect of it all. I'm having a
Yeah,
blast here. I'm glad he was having a
yeah,
blast.
yeah, yeah. Because I
Um,
think he was critical of our first episode, if I
I think
remember
so.
correctly. He
Uh,
was. But you know what? He changed his mind.
Yeah.
He
Speaking
he
of
warmed up.
Mark's, well, I think once he figured it out, because like I mean, it is just a thing that we just threw up here, and there's no
Sure it is.
explanation. Whereas all of my other stuff has a title that says something like "Top
Right.
10 Records Made in 1972," and then you'll know
Yes.
exactly what you're getting.
Right.
Anyway, speaking of Mark's wall and the entire getup, dude, I bet you could grab a screen capture almost any given moment during your show, and it would make a decent solo album cover. It looks
Yeah.
so rock star. It really does, even today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks for accompanying me through a good part of my Saturday afternoon by blessing my auditory background while I produce and mix some camera raw files on the pooter, burn a tree or two, chug down zero point
Oh,
0.2 gallons of Ethiopian Sidamo? What is that?
okay.
That
It must
sounds
be a
fancy.
coffee, I'm assuming. Or is
Um,
that a meal? Is that a meal? Is he eating it or drinking it? I'm sorry, I can't
I
remember.
don't know.
Okay.
Fold a ton of laundry, one of my many arch enemies, and check up on the disgruntled ex-employee since I only ever owned Heavy Bag and haven't listened to D in ages. Yeah, I highly recommend everybody go listen to
Thank
that
you.
album
Thank you very
often.
much. Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, so
so those were the comments from last time's episode, and we can
yeah.
probably make it a regular thing where next episode we'll read these comments and
Okay,
respond.
right on. Maybe it's good for him that we did talk for like 2 hours and 5 minutes because it sounds like he got a lot done.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is the people that like the stuff that I do, while they like the shorter videos that I do, but I seem to get the most reaction to the longer stuff.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, the problem is I'm not going to sit by myself and do a 2 hour video. That's never going to happen. I bore
Right.
myself, especially when
Okay.
I have to have it set up to where it's just a camera and I'm just looking at my stupid face and I'm just like, let's just
Yeah,
fucking knock this out and
not
move
gonna
on.
happen. Not gonna happen. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna look at myself for 2 hours. Oh, no alcohol. Did they just oh,
So last episode was
oh
not
boy.
sponsored by Gordon's Vodka.
Right. Oh, did you take the label off?
No, this episode is not sponsored by Gordon's Gin.
Oh, even better.
Mhm.
Can you mix them together? Would that be a gin vodka thing? Vodka and gin? Is that a drink? No.
Why?
Am I blow, am
If
I
I was
blowing
an
my
alcoholic, maybe.
Well, that is
Maybe
true.
I would do that.
You could mix gin and rubbing alcohol. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'll throw a little bit of Drano in there for good measure.
Yeah, just and pretty soon it's like meth.
Yeah.
Add a couple more chemicals and bam,
And this right here is a little bit of grapefruit sparkling water.
Oh, pamplemousse,
So
as they say. That's fantastic.
and I left it in the freezer, so it's nice and ice cold. What's
Oh,
cooler than being cool? Ice cold. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right.
right, all right. Hey man, how old is that old head sign that's above your head?
It's not that old actually. This
Yeah,
is
it's new.
well, it's new. It's new in my room because a few years ago, my wife made a T-shirt quilt for me, like out of some of my old
Yes.
T-shirts.
I love those.
And originally, she
Yeah.
made this just because she was going to put that on there. But the way that it worked out, there wasn't any room for it, so she just had it folded up in a drawer. And she pulled it out, and she was like, "You want this?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I just threw it up on my wall. It's just fabric, you know. She does a lot of stuff like that. She does quilting and all sorts of other stuff. She's
Well,
very
you said that before. Sometimes you're in your room listening to your records and she's down the hall doing some quilting or whatever.
she does or cross stitching or whatever. Like she does a lot of stuff.
You got a lot of tea towels at your house, a lot of customized tea towels.
No, but we do have a lot of blankets.
Okay, she goes big then. She's not messing around. She likes a big canvas. She wants to go for it.
You should see the cross stitch thing she's doing.
Okay.
It's this massive, and she did one before. We have one on our wall. This is this great like ballerina picture, but now she's got like one that's like a Dia de los Muertos kind of thing, lady with like a whole. It's crazy, and I think it's like hundreds of thousands of stitches, and who knows how long it's going to take her to do it. But she's
She
working
got
on
an
it.
Etsy shop?
No, because she doesn't like make a lot of stuff. She does projects that take years, you know, and like. um,
Right.
So-
This is going to be $10,000. Is basically what she would have to sell that for, right? A year's worth of
She
labor.
used to get annoyed with people because people would ask her like, "Oh, make me a quilt and just charge me for how much it's going to cost," and she'd be like, "It's expensive to make a quilt because it's like not only does it all the actual materials, but the time it takes to make a quilt."
Sure.
So
I'll just go to Target and buy one.
exactly.
All right. You'll have to excuse me if I break into this. I've been in Oklahoma for the last week.
Oh yeah, you did go to Oklahoma, and you said
Yeah.
you were playing with an old band.
Yes, and it was fantastic. I mean, seriously, I hadn't seen the drummer from. I was in two bands in Oklahoma. One was called Death Puppy, great name.
All
Yeah,
right.
that was and then that band morphed into a band called Face First, and they were both hardcore punk rock bands. A joy to be in, fantastic. Some of those people are dead. You know, it's like that's weird. You get to that point in your life and you're like, oh, they're dead. Oh, that's sad. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But yeah, it was three of us, three of the four of us uh, from Face First got together. It was awesome.
And did you
It was,
do in that band? Did you play guitar or just do vocals?
no, I just sang. I was just a
Okay.
singer. I played guitar in Death Puppy, and then I can't play and sing. Not a thing I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, watch. I'll try to talk and then move my hands at the same time. It doesn't work. I can't do it.
That's why. Yeah, that would make sense because you in Kill Whitey, you didn't have to sing,
No.
so you could play the guitar to your heart's content.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was a good times. But anyway, I was down there in Oklahoma. It's good to be in Oklahoma, man. You're down there in Texas and you don't have nothing. We talked about it before. You tried real hard not to get nothing.
But isn't weed legal in Oklahoma?
Yeah, dude, it's hilarious you should ask that because there are weed stores everywhere. And then some of them are already closed because there's just too many
Too
weed
many.
stores.
I'm so jealous of that. Our lieutenant governor over here in Texas is now trying to make even THC illegal in Texas. So like you go to those places and they make the THC that's like just a little bit below what would be considered marijuana or whatever.
No, is that or CBD?
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, the stuff that's made. Yeah, CBD. The stuff that's made.
The other stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's made
Yeah.
from the same plant.
Oh, of
It's
course
just
it is.
it's got like a molecule or two less.
Right. The psychoactive part is not there.
Apparently, what they make now, there is some of the psychoactive there.
Oh, fantastic. So Texas does not have even medical marijuana?
I believe we do, but it's like it's in really rare cases that you can get it. Like you got to have like glaucoma or some shit, I think, in order to get medical marijuana here. But
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I could just go next door and ask my neighbor, but I'm too embarrassed to do that because, like, I don't want to be like it's coming from the damn garage. I can smell it. I know there's weed there, and so
Oh, okay.
but I just don't want to go over and be like, "Hey, anybody selling? Come on."
No, you don't want to do that, man. You don't want to get busted in Texas, bro.
Oh, I don't care. I'm not going to get busted. I'm not leaving my house.
Oh, I think Texas is one of those states you don't want to get arrested in.
Yeah, and depending on where you are in Houston, it's not a big deal. In some of the smaller towns, probably don't. But I don't go out in order to break any laws anyway.
Sure. Well, sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's true. That's why I don't go places.
So, yeah, man, I guess now think about it, it's probably there's no state that would be good to get arrested in, come to think of it.
Well, in general, no, you probably don't want to get arrested, but
Mhm. So, so when I think about Texas bands, though, I think about bands that are super fucked up.
oh yeah.
You got a lot of them down there, right? And throughout history, you've had a lot of super fucked up bands down there, like wild people.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the what do they call those people? The Cosmic Cowboys
Yes.
scene started, which I don't listen to any of that stuff, but I mean, like that was fucking fueled by marijuana.
Mhm.
So, and of course, Willie lives around here, so
Oh,
he's
sure. Oh, yes, he does.
he's into
Right.
weed.
So, but he's got his own strain of weed, so he must not be growing it in Texas.
No, I'm sure not.
I'm sure he probably doesn't grow it at all. I'm sure someone said, "Can we put your name on our weed?" And he was like,
He
"How
might.
much money
I
you got?"
mean, maybe he at least tested it one time, and he was
Right,
like,
because he's
"Yep,
probably smoked weed
it's
once,
good
right?
shit." And then they
Yeah,
put
it's just like this.
um.
Is he alive? He's alive, right? He didn't die yet.
No, he's still
Okay.
alive, still fucking playing too. That's the thing. I am so not a country fan. I'm in the negative. Like I'm gone the complete other
Okay.
way where like I not only do I not want to listen to country, I just want to destroy it. I want to take a time machine
Oh,
back and completely remove it from the history.
all of it?
All of it. Every single.
Dude, now this is two genres now for you because you just do not dig the jazz either.
No, I don't. But I mean, it's not for lack of trying. Like I've listened to a lot of this music, so the opinions
Okay.
that I've come to in my mid 40s now are well thought out. And that's why I don't even talk about it because I'm just like, there's no point in talking because I've listened to it. I know the music, and so I've heard enough to go, it's just not for me, and it's not
What
even
about the New
worth.
Country though? New Country sounds just like Bon Jovi.
Shut the fuck up! Don't you besmirch
No, I'm
Mr. Bon
serious.
Jovi's
Oh, I'm sorry
name.
about that, dude. I don't mean to like. I'm not trying to rile you up.
He just saved a woman from committing suicide on a bridge. That's how
Oh,
great
I'm
Bon
sure.
Jovi is.
No, I didn't say that he was bad. I'm just saying that in fact, this is why I'm saying New Country sounds just like Bon Jovi. And I'm wondering if you've heard the new stuff. I was
Yeah,
working in a client's house and I was like, what radio station is this? And she was like, oh, it's the country thing on the whatever. It's probably being streamed or whatever. I'm like, this is country music. And she's like, yep. And I'm like, wow. It had solos in it. It was rocking, man.
yeah,
Rocking.
yeah. They are. What do you call that? Co-opting a lot of different things into
Yes.
country music in order to
Yes.
keep it somehow relevant with people. But because really all you need is a little bit of twang, and then you got to sing about the right subjects, and then
Sure.
everything else you can just do whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't really.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have the vocal, got to have a twang, and it's got to be about the subject matter has to be has to be targeted. Yeah, I get it.
There,
Trust.
I mean, but with there are exceptions to like all the rules because like there are random country songs that
Mhm.
I can hear and go, I get this, but none of them are like the traditional sounding country songs. They're all kind of like oddities that you really would listen to and go, oh, this is just a really great pop song, and it just happens to be done in the style of country,
Okay.
things like that. So
Okay, so no Dwight Yoakam. You didn't get into Dwight Yoakam ever, or like
no,
Hank
no,
Williams Jr. It wasn't that. No.
fuck
What
no.
about what about Hank Williams? No,
No,
you never got a
no.
Hank. Okay, and then isn't there a third Hank Williams now?
There's
Like a
Hank
little.
3, and Hank 3's honestly, that's even worse because
Oh, it's worse.
he can't fucking decide what kind of music he wants to play. So he does shows where he does a country set and a rock set, and
Sure.
everyone's like, Hank 3's so great. I'm all like, all right, well, to each their
Is
own.
he
Once
though?
again, I don't talk
Sure.
about it. I just leave
Sure.
that subject
Sure.
alone. But
Okay.
I grew up around the time that original pop country was happening. So I do have a soft spot for like some Kenny Rogers and things like
Okay.
that.
Like
But I don't actively listen to any of it because
Dolly Parton, same stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Like Reba McEntire?
maybe a song or two. But
Okay.
but it literally has to be like on the radio in passing, and I'll hear it and go, oh, this is kind of a cool song. And then if another country song comes on, then I go, no, this is way too much. Get the fuck out of here. I have enough room to enjoy one slightly.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Anyway,
Okay. So there's no jazz.
same thing with jazz. I could hear some jazz things and go, that's pretty cool. And like, so this is a great song. Like, how much longer does it have? Oh, it has another 18 minutes. Oh, can we stop it right now? Because
Yeah.
the good shit ended 2 minutes ago.
Sure, sure, sure. I no longer have that emotional connection that I had to it 2 minutes ago. I'm not feeling it in here like I did earlier. Could
It's
you switch
also
it, please?
I realize at the end of the day how dumb it all is. That's why I never talk about music I don't like. Because as soon as I start talking about it, I go, there's no point in this. I'm gonna start talking
Right.
about shit I do like.
Okay, so which is why I am fascinated about this upcoming Linkin Park episode.
Oh shit.
Ah,
I can't he sprung that on me. I don't know how that I
how
haven't
many
even
albums do they have?
7 or 8, I think.
Oh, you're gonna have to do the whole thing. Is it gonna be a cranked and ranked?
Yep, it's gonna be a crank
Because you're
to
gonna
me.
have to listen.
The thing is I have a system. So I like because I work from home. And
Sure.
so I do have a system for going through where I'll listen to albums and make notes while I'm listening to them and working at the same time and whatever. So I'm able to do it, but I purposely have waited. So this next week is the build up to doing that episode. So I'm going to start doing it this week because I want
That's more than one album a day, though, dude.
yeah, that doesn't matter. I can do that.
Okay, but
Uh,
you
that's-
take in. Okay.
Because I want it to be fresh because I guarantee you there's no way I'm going to want to listen to those albums more than once. So usually what I'll do in that case because we've done a few bands like this where I've been like, I'm not really into this. So I'll listen to all the albums all the way through while I make notes. and
Okay.
I'll jot down names of songs that I did enjoy, and sometimes
Okay.
I'll go back and listen to those again if there are
Okay.
songs that stood out.
Okay.
And I kind of just, I put it all together, but really, like, I think in this particular case, the Linkin Park one, I think is supposed to be more of a reaction for me because I famously do not like them.
Sure.
Now they're
Sure.
not the worst. Like there's legitimate awful music, and I don't think they make awful music. It just whatever connection it's supposed to make with somebody, it just misses me in every turn.
Okay.
And so,
I don't know that I've ever heard them.
yeah, I can only remember a couple songs by them, but
Are they from here? Where are they from? Chicago?
they're from. I don't know where they're from.
Because there's a big Lincoln Park here that's a kind of a big deal in Chicago. It's a neighborhood, but I know it's
Well,
not spelled that way.
let's
But
see, Lincoln Park. They are from Agora Hills, California.
okay, well then I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising. 'Cause I've really never known what's going on.
Well, but let's get it. Let's get into to music though, because I'm sure you want to
Yes,
talk about my new music because I feel
I do.
because I want to hear your thoughts because we had one conversation about the first song,
Yes.
but it's out now for everybody that's watching this. You can go
Yes.
look up supporting actor staring at the walls, which is the name of the single.
Oh, nice.
I was very clever because one song is called "Climbing Up the Walls," one song is called
Sun.
staring at the sun,"
Sun.
and then the single is called "Staring at the Walls."
Sure.
So,
Sure. Sure.
and
Right.
anyway, so yeah, so it's out now, and you've heard both the
You wouldn't want to
songs.
climb up the sun.
No, that
That would be
as soon as I made that connection, I went, "That's fucking stupid."
right.
Staring at the walls is much better because that sounds more like what I do sometimes anyway.
Yeah. One, I would assume instant obliteration trying to climb up the sun.
You wouldn't even start climbing the sun. You
Yeah,
wouldn't
you
even
wouldn't even get anywhere near that motherfucker. In fact, I
no.
can't even be outside for more than a couple hours here on Earth, really, come to think
Yeah,
of it.
fuck that.
Yeah. And it's getting worse.
Yeah, yep. News flash.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so okay. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to start on this? You said I wanted to talk about it, and I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you what, I'm proud of you.
Well,
I'm
thank you.
proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It came together very nicely.
Oh, yes, it did.
Because
And
the idea,
fast.
because the idea was there, and then I just carved out time for me to go through and record the parts. So,
Okay.
but what happened was once I put together, because I do it like I'm actually in a fucking band, and I'll do the drums first and then the bass guitar. And once I had done both of those, I was like, oh, this is sounding kind of cool. So it really sort of like made me excited to go and start adding on the guitars. And so once that was all done, it was sounding great. And then I was like, oh shit, now the moment of truth. Now I have to sing. And the good thing about these songs is they're both songs that I know really well.
Okay.
They're both pretty much in my range where I don't have to reach for notes that I can't hit. And they both have elements of vocal styles that I don't normally do.
Yes.
So I
Exactly.
got to experiment with some different sounds, and it ended up being a lot of fun because I not only the recording of it, but the mixing of it and using different effects and really like playing with things and making it sound a certain way. I had so much fun just like putting this thing together that at the end
It
of
sounds like you did.
yeah,
It sounds like you're having fun.
it was a blast, and I love both of those songs a lot. So
Great tunes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, dude, I can't like, so how much experimentation did you do before you got your voice to do what your voice is doing? Did you just simply, because like sometimes I feel like in your old stuff, you're really pushing it, you're really out there. Like I'm trying to figure out like,
yeah.
and it's not like you don't have a metal voice. It never goes falsetto or anything. It's like a very good, solid yelling kind
I
of
just say it's like alternative rock guy voice.
okay. Well, yeah, but it's not like but it sounds like a real person.
Yeah.
Like my voice always did something like this. You know what I mean? And so I don't even sound like a real person anymore. Do you know what I mean? You know, but you sound like a person singing.
Yeah.
Not like Lane Staley or like, none of that grunge stuff, none of that Matchbox 20. You're not doing any of that stuff. It's just
Somebody out there is going to be mad that you just made the jump from Alice in Chains to Matchbox 20.
well, but those are because it's the internet. Of course, there's going to
Yeah.
be somebody that's mad about that. But
Yeah.
those are stylized vocalists, correct? They're
Yes,
make
yes,
they're
they both. Well, the Lane Staley has multiple styles of singing, which was why he was great. I think
yes,
Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 has one style of singing.
yeah, but it is a style.
It's close to what they call yarling.
What's fucking yarling?
Yarling are
Yarling,
the guys.
Yarl, Yarl.
Yarling. It's the singers that were post Eddie Vedder and Lane Staley. So like the guy from Creed, and they're always singing like that.
Yeah,
So it's like
Yarl, Yarl.
it's almost like what you did in Stick.
Sure.
You were the precursor, but yours was a little more nasally, so it wasn't quite so.
It wasn't quite so annoying. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'll finish that.
I didn't
sentence
say
for you.
annoying. You said
No,
it.
no, no. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I think
I love your singing. I think I've made.
oh,
that
dude. Okay, well, we're talking about your music right now, but I will say that
Oh,
that I wanted to sound like Ozzy, because Ozzy's got that thin thing. You know what I mean? He's not like
What does it take to make a motherfucker say?
yeah, such a good song, isn't it?
It's a great song.
Yeah, man, Mike Darrell and Tim, dude.
How many times, but like even lyrically speaking, how many times in my life since I heard that song have I said that line, I'd rather punch a cop instead of punch that clock? Love that.
Well, you know what? I was thinking about all those bands that had I Fought the Law and the Law Won. You know what I mean? That's kind of thing. And that was my what was the I fight authority, authority always wins. There was that one too, right? John Cougar. And then, I was like, what's going to be my word? But that's or my phrase. It's interesting that you remembered that one.
I love
Said
that one.
that. You've said that in your mind?
In my life. Yeah. I've that like when in referring to work, it's just such a great little line to be like, man, I'd rather punch a cop than punch that clock.
Punch the clock. Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather fight authority than waste my life away. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, thanks a lot for listening to that record, dude.
I've listened to it so many times.
And I've heard our stuff on your radio station.
Yes.
You even
Literally,
had that Resistance, you had that Resistance remix on there.
that's on there, and both albums in full
Right.
will not obviously
No.
not in a row, but
Yeah.
all of
They'll
the
pop up.
songs will randomly randomly come up, and it's always nice.
Okay,
And
I can't wait till Edgewater's on there though.
well, I don't. You're gonna have to send me. Oh, you have a.
There's a download card in there.
There is a download card. I have to go look into it.
Okay. But you're gonna like this new one way better. Last time you said fun, this time you're gonna say great. I swear.
All right.
Maybe, hopefully.
I want to get to like some of your music in a minute, but let's finish talking about mine.
Yes, no, please do. Let's do. Yeah. So, okay, but I'm going to say, okay, I had never heard either of those songs before. I had to go I looked them up and I listened to the originals and then I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's really great. And I've heard both of those bands, obviously. I've heard both of those bands before.
Yeah.
And I've super enjoyed huge swaths of their music, but I couldn't tell you those specific songs. You know what I mean? So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can't even tell what's the bass and what's the guitar and what's you know what I mean? Things are affected and they're charged and they're beautiful. But I was going to ask you, how many times did you sing before you found where you wanted to go?
I I knew where I wanted to go with both songs, but what I did with both of them, the way that I did the vocals is I sang a certain part all the way through. So like the verses were like one individual track.
Yep.
I literally just started recording and I sang the first verse and then I waited and I sang the second verse, whatever, that part was going to be. And then I went back and listened to that. And then that sort of informed like, okay, here's the improvements I need to make. And then I did it again one or two more times. And then the second and third time, I kind of just Frankenstein them together, what I thought were the best performances out of those two. Same thing with the choruses and everything else. I would do like a practice run, listen to the practice run, and then kind of go, okay, I don't like how I did this, and then I would fix it. And then, that's basically, it didn't really take me that long because I know those songs really well. And I didn't want the vocals to be, very different from the original because I like the vocals of both of those songs. So I decided to just like, well, that part's just going to be me kind of doing my interpretation of those vocals. Because there's no way I'm going to sound like Tom York. I can just do my best,
Right.
Yeah.
Is he Jarl?
No, he's a lot of falsetto. He's one of the only singers that gets away with it for me. Most singers go into falsetto, and I just go, all right.
Okay. Really? Coming from a metal guy.
No, well, nobody does falsetto. Falsetto is the back. Isn't that falsetto the back voice? Like there's full voice when the people sing really high, and then the falsetto is like
Skid Row.
Yes, like Sebastian Bach.
Yeah,
and
like
then
Sebastian Bach, right.
and then like the falsetto to me, or maybe there's a different term for it. If anybody knows the right term I'm talking about like every band from the early 2000s that had a song that played on Grey's Anatomy, and like every song was like I love you. And it was it was very just like the I don't know, it's a different voice because if I'm singing like this, it's a different voice. It's in the back of the throat.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
There you go. Little, what's his name? Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim.
Anyways, so
okay.
And I did falsetto in both of these songs, which is funny.
Yes, you did.
Just because they called for it.
Okay.
And so I just was like, fuck it, I'm going to do my best. I've never done it before, so I'm going to do it.
Do you feel like you have to apologize now to everyone else who's ever sang falsetto?
Nah, because mine wasn't lame. So.
Oh, okay.
Mine
was good. I liked mine. Yeah.
The two singers that did it, that I think they did it very well, and so I was just trying to be like them. I don't know. I probably will not write a vocal part like that ever, but it was cool to fuck around with it. So
sure. So any riffs of your own now that you've kind of got back on the horse?
No,
not the heroin.
No, because that shit just came out. But I have a plan. Because I know that I want to write songs starting with the bass guitar, and I almost have like in my brain like a thought of the kind of places I'm wanting to go, and I almost feel like I'm saying this now, and then it might end up being totally different. But my brain is telling me it'd be cool to do something that's kind of like a combination of Helmet and Gang of Four. And like where there's a lot of groove, but there's also a lot of like choppiness to it and robotics. Angular, yes. Some angular. So a little bit of like AMREP bands and Discord bands, like throw those together. I don't know. I just feel like I feel like that would be fun. And vocally speaking, when you're talking about bands like that, there's not this huge reaching for the stars type thing with the vocals. I can sing like Ian MacKaye sings, it's like, no problem. But what I want to do is I was like, I'm going to do it the way that some bands do it. And I'm going to quote unquote jam. I'm going to jam. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to choose a handful of nights. I'm just going to be in my room. I'm just going to start the shit recording, and I'm just going to play shit on the bass and then go back later and start finding parts that stand out to me and
Okay.
build songs off of those. Um,
Perfect.
because I think that will be more fun because instead of me trying to come up with a riff, because a lot of times I come up with things in my head
Yep.
and I'll sing them into like my phone. And so when I'll be and then I'll get home and I'll listen to it and try to figure out what that is on a guitar.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I have the same thing going on here. Song
Yeah.
ideas. Do you have
Yeah.
a this is me singing songs into the phone just over and over and over. Yeah, there I am, just
Coming
singing
soon
songs.
to Mark's
Coming soon.
OnlyFans.
All these riffs. I hope my dick pics don't come up. That's going to be scary if that happens.
Um. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, it's fun
yeah.
to sing. Yeah,
So that's why.
that's
So that's
awesome.
what I want to do. Like I'm gonna kind of just go with the flow, and hopefully it'll be a little more organic for me. And also not. I'm also very interested in the idea of fucking with structures of things.
Okay.
Because I get too bogged down in I'll hear a riff and I'll think that it needs to go to this place for a chorus, like it needs a chorus. And then if the chorus ends up working out a certain way, you get to a point where I go, well, it needs some kind of middle section. And I'm like,
Sure.
but why?
Sure.
Like some
Well, that's
songs
true.
some songs are great like that, but then there are other songs that are literally just fucking one drony riff for 5
Yes.
minutes and they sound great.
Oh,
So
they're amazing.
I need to
Hypnotic.
get out of my own head and stop like overthinking everything because like some of my favorite music is the stuff where you'll have a song that's just like a perfectly crafted verse, chorus, verse, middle kind of song, followed by something that's like 2 minutes. And you're like, where the fuck did that come from? And so I'm like, I've never been good at letting myself out of the structure. And so as you hear, if you listen to a lot of the stuff that I've recorded,
Oh no, it's pop music essentially is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And I love pop music, which is why I like
yeah,
your
me
stuff.
too.
It's very
I
good.
love the pop sensibility being brought into other music.
Yeah.
I just but I think I've done that to death, and that's part of my problem. Because
So is
I've
that what stalemated you? Is that why you kind of stopped? Because that's what the conversation we had is because that you have all these songs that are almost finished, but then you kind of were like,
yeah,
right.
it was that, and when I was trying to do vocals for those particular songs, I didn't like how I sounded.
Right.
So I just sort of gave up.
Okay. We talked about that, right? I remember
Yeah,
you saying.
so I'm wanting to approach them from a much more, I guess, realistic and comfortable place
Okay.
instead of So it's just kind of an experiment, and who knows? Maybe the new batch of songs I make will take a year to come out. Who the fuck knows? But I just know that I'm just happy that these two songs came out really good, and it was really fun because that is like what I need to sort of push me and be like,
Yeah.
cool, let's do that, but now with your own shit. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So now the other thing was that you had said you were sick of the fake drums, or what'd you call them? Not real drums. Okay.
yeah.
So, but the drums are very the drums change in patterns, right? That you have. So I mean, so I'm wondering, like, how are you going to jam? You know what I mean? Like that is the greatest part about playing with a drummer is that
Yeah.
whenever the drummer decides to change their mind, they go into another part. You kind of almost go, and you're already in there. You know what
It's
I
going to
mean?
be the drummer in my head. I mean,
So will you play to a click to keep you in time, or do you think you just
nope. Because literally all this is just recording everything that I'm playing. So I'm not, because normally, even if I was playing on a guitar, I would stop and then I would record and then I would have to, but I want this to literally just be me fucking around for an hour. And then I go through and just find the bits that stand out.
Sure.
And because like, I might get tired of playing in one rhythm, or I might start playing something and go, oh, this seems like it would be cooler if it was faster. And I'll just play it faster. Like I don't have to actually go to anybody and say, hey, can you speed it up? I don't, I loved jamming with drummers. Like some cool music that I've done, I've written songs based on a drummer's drum beat before.
Oh, for sure.
And I love it when that happens because like sometimes I'm just like, oh, this feels so great, which is why I feel like I always should have been a bass player because I enjoy that so much.
Right.
So, but one of the ones, like the last band I was in, which I sent you a sticker of, Encroachers. Encroachers was the last band I was in, and our only EP is on Bandcamp, which I put on the.
Yes, thank you. I've not got into that yet because I just got home.
Okay, I sent Mark a package, and it didn't explode. It just had everything I could find that was laying around from my old bands. I sent to him. I even had to like two of them. I even had to photocopy the original covers because I didn't have an extra cover, and then I just put them in there photocopied. But
I was gonna say I got them. Yeah, I got the whole thing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right before I left for Oklahoma.
So that right there is pretty much the story of me from about 2001 up until I quit the last band I was in, I think in 2015 or 2016.
So, dude, this is like, so Gray Line is a band.
Yeah.
And how do you say this one?
Autons.
Okay, that's great. And then Poor Posture?
The Poor Posture, which is an awful name, but I came up with it.
No, it's a great name. I love that name. So Encroachers, I think, is fantastic. I mean, I can't wait to get into this. Yeah. So next episode we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we will. So the cool thing about that, when you listen to it, the very first song on the Encroachers EP is called Supporting Actor, which is where I took the name for my solo project. But that song is a song that was actually written. The drummer started playing a beat, and I was like, "Oh, just keep playing that." And then we wrote a song based on these two different drum beats that he was playing, and that's where the song came from. Anyway, we'll talk about that next time. I want to talk about La Cassette.
Sure, La Cassette. Yeah.
Also, I want to let everybody know, like, I don't have a lot of friends. I don't really have many. I have two people now that I would legitimately call friends: Eddie Sparks and Mark SMIRL. Those are the two people that I would consider friends now.
Okay. Awesome.
Everyone out there, get you a friend like Mark SMIRL, because he doesn't just send you, like, the first thing he sent me was this, and he fashions his own cardboard cases.
Yep.
And then inside of this one, it's a Kill Whitey album, which is the band that he was in prior to Stick, that I do not have. So it was cool to get this. And he even included like Stick stickers that I'm never going to use and everything. And,
You're never going to use.
Well, I don't want to fuck them up. I put one. I have my VHS cabinet. I put stickers on the side of it, and I put one of the Stick ones, and then right under it is a triangular SMIRL sticker.
Nice.
But then and then he has like the cassette inner for a.
I wish I had one of those to send to you. That would have been cool if you would have got that cassette in the mail. But
I'm sure I can still find one. I just got to fork over the money for it. But anyway, but same thing for this. Like this is the band that Mark was in. You said early 2000s?
Yeah, 2002, 2003,
and he
something like that. Yeah.
put together this whole special version of this. Is this what when you guys were a band, is this what it looked like when you gave it to people?
Yep. We just printed them all out, and then I cut them with those pinking shears, and then we just put tape on there and hand wrote all of it on there. It was awesome.
This is the way to get stuff. But anyway, this thing right here, and I said this to you, and I've since listened to it again, and I'm going to double down. I'm going to double down on my thing. This isn't out there for everybody to listen to. I think you'll probably have to somehow find Mark in order to get one. But this sounds like the instrumental Beastie Boys songs, although there are some vocals on them. But it's there's a lot of instrumental going on in this, but it has that vibe of the starting on Check Your Head, where Beastie Boys would have these little songs with money mark on the keyboards or whatever, you know, and like that's so great because that's the kind of music that like I'd go out to a club and just have a drink and just vibe out to the fucking shit. And like you could say the same thing about fucking jazz or any of that stuff. And for some reason that doesn't connect with me the way a little bit of funky stuff does.
Sure.
When you bring in the funk, when you bring in the
Right.
noise and bring in the funk, that's what really does it for me. So like I don't like jam bands for the most part, like Grateful Dead, Fish, things like that. But if it's funky,
You do like Parliament.
yeah. Well, that's
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. If it's funky
Yep.
and there's a really great groove to it, and you're able to just get into it, and like that, that can go on for hours. I don't fucking care.
Right. Right.
So I love that. Anyway, I really enjoy the La Cassette album.
Oh, thanks. It was great to play with a saxophone player.
Yeah, there's not enough saxophone in music anymore.
Right. And it was like all those the classic saxophone coming in on like the psychedelic first stuff and everything. You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, awesome. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he was a great player, is a great player, played the flute, played the keyboard. And so we just really played around him for well, for the most part. But there's some of that La Cassette stuff is available on Bandcamp. You can find La
Oh.
Cassette on Bandcamp. Yeah.
Not to be
Guitar
confused
player.
with Le Cassette. That's a different
No,
band.
which was different. That's LES cassette. That's grammatically proper, but you can't say laca. La cassette.
Yeah, but there is a band called Le Cassette.
Is there really?
Yeah, LE Cassette, like
That's-
French dressing.
Franche. Right.
Yeah.
I became obsessed with the word cassette.
It's a
What
great
happened?
cassette is a great word. Do you
And
like
then when
do you like cassettes?
I love cassettes.
Do you like when I cassette these nuts in your mouth?
So much. I love it so much, man. Thanks.
I just the other night
I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it on your show, but it was so nice.
I love a good these nuts joke. I was watching that one of my favorite Key and Peele sketches again the other night where the guy's working, the guy's like they're in like an office setting, and Jordan Peele's character is like gotten obsessed with D's nuts jokes, and so Keegan Michael Key comes in and he's like trying to be all serious, and it's like, hey, we got to talk about these numbers. We got to talk about these numbers in your these nuts in your mouth or whatever. He just keeps literally everything he says, even when they come in and say your father's dead, that he just keeps making these nuts jokes about
Nuts in your
everything.
drink.
I love it. I don't know
great.
why that never gets old. If there's a good D's nuts, or a good that's what she said. My wife does those.
Oh, sure.
My wife is like is some of the dirtiest jokes will come out of her mouth, and I will just die laughing. But it's gotten to be such a thing between her and I that.
Sure.
At family gatherings, somebody will say something, and she just looks at me, and we both just die laughing.
And then there you go. You're already gone. It's already gone. It's all
Don't
it
even
takes.
have to say
You both
anything.
know it.
Don't even
Right.
have to say anything.
It's all in here. Right?
Mhm.
Nice. Awesome. It's good to have someone who has that gear.
I love it. The
love
thing
it.
is, I need somebody with a dirty mouth and a dirty mind, and who's also
Sound like
very
Prince now.
who's also very smart. I like that too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I lack that quality, but the
Oh,
other ones, I have in spades. It's awesome. Yeah. Very dirty, very nasty. I'm a nasty man.
Yeah, I think I'm a nasty girl.
Okay.
Where were we?
I don't know, man.
Oh,
Well,
I want to wrap up the Mark Smurl music portion. I got this.
Oh, look at that.
It's
On vinyl.
if you look, it's a bootleg. If you look, it's a little bit blurry, especially if you look at the back. It's pretty blurry.
Oh, yeah. Like they took a picture of the album cover and then
Yeah.
printed that out. Okay,
But
right
the
on.
thing is, like, they put so much effort into this. The quality of this is like really good,
Yeah. Yeah, no, they didn't mess around.
and it's got it's on red vinyl.
Red. That's awesome.
But they even printed out like a movie poster in here. And
Nice.
my favorite part, they didn't even need to do this. Look, you see this? Here's the cover. But look at this. Look at this. Ready?
Oh, stop in the inside.
The band
That's
is on
fucking
the
great.
inside of the. It's not
That's
a gatefold.
amazing.
They just wasted printing
Just right on the inside.
right on the inside.
That's
Anyway,
amazing.
and so for those of you who don't know, Stick is included on the Airheads soundtrack.
Right.
The song Fuel
Deal.
is
If
on
only
there.
we were in the movie, though, that would have
Yeah.
been great, wouldn't it?
That's all right. There's even a cool. I'm still looking to find it because it was on eBay and somebody snagged it. But there's a really cool Airheads soundtrack poster that's like yay big or whatever, and it's got the headshots of all the bands, including you guys. On
No
it.
way.
Yeah.
Never even seen it. I'll give you. I'll pay half. You just let me know how much. You
If
just
it
let me
ever
know how much.
if it ever pops up again, I'll get it. I can't find it. But anyway, I thought that was cool because I love that soundtrack. But I
Right,
thought
it's a
it'd be
good
cool just
soundtrack.
to show you because now like a little bit of you is on a bootleg vinyl.
Nice. That's the
And,
second time in my life that I know of.
and then you will have your new album on a vinyl coming out.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be great. They called or they emailed rather, and it's
Mhm.
ready.
Oh shit! Like
Yeah. So
the pressed and final versions are ready.
it's
Oh, but
ready.
you're doing the covers yourself.
Yes. I just made number 30 today. So man, these take a long time.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I have to get they said there's from Canada, so I have to give them like an EIN or a social security number or something, which I did not see this coming. I don't want to really give my social security number out or whatever, but I guess that it flags it at the border if it's over $2,000 or something. Have
Yeah.
you yeah. So I'm gonna have my friend who owns this store called Rock and Roll Vintage. It's this wicked cool vintage instrument store here in Chicago. I work with him sometimes and for him sometimes. And so I'm going to give him his EIN number and address, and they said they would ship it there. So it should be here any day.
Nice. I
Yeah,
mean, and so you're making a 10-inch gatefold cover is what you're doing?
with two tens.
Two 10 inches.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's the best product design I've ever put together. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, because that disgruntled ex-employee thing with the bullet hole and the bullet and all that business and the clear
Mhm.
came
That
out of
was
here. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And that shit was good, right? That was cool, right?
Yeah.
And then the tuxedos and the lipstick and the flowers and the presents and all that stuff. I wanted it to be really crazy
Yeah.
looking at it. Yeah, and it
It's
worked.
it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
This one's
I'm
like
glad that I finally learned why there were only three of you in the photograph.
I
Like
know, right?
I didn't know that for the longest time, but then now I learned that the bass player took the photo. So
Yep. He quit. Like as soon as we wrapped recording or whatever, it was like, I'm out. Which,
yeah.
good on him, man. But then he took the pictures and that was fantastic.
So
Yeah.
he's kind of still there. He's just on the other side of the
Oh, he's
camera.
there. Yeah.
And on the album, obviously, but
Ooh. Yes, he's all over that. He's all over that.
yeah.
Yeah, had a lot to do with what it sounded like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we did that in Oklahoma. We just when we got together and played, the drummer started playing, and then my friend Richard, who is the guitar player, and I played bass because the bass player was couldn't make it, and we had 3 nights in a row or whatever. We just played for like 2 or 3 hours, and dude, I haven't played in forever. My fingers are killing me, man. It was awesome though. We had a really, really good time. We recorded a lot of it. I doubt we'll release any of it. We'll probably use it for future. We're going to go out to LA because I think what the world needs is a hardcore punk rock band that only put out one 7-inch 37 years ago to get back together and record another 7-inch.
You know what though? I want to. So this is the face first.
Bass first.
You know what? I want to look that up and see if it's on the
It's a record.
Discogs. It's on the because I'm very curious about these older, especially a band where you only put out one 7-inch. I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
that's right up my alley right there.
I
So
mean, it's very poorly recorded hardcore music from
that's
like 1981.
that's all right.
You know what? I'll fold a piece of cardboard around a copy and write
So,
Stephen Ivy's personal copy of Face First 7-inch, and I'll mail it to you. What do you think
so
about that?
the interesting thing is on Discogs, when you click on Mark Smurl, It only has 3 bands listed: Stick, Death Puppy, and Kill Whitey.
Okay.
And Death Puppy has things here.
Really? That was a cassette only release that we made from a tape to tape. We made from one of those tape to tape decks.
Is this y'all?
Oh, okay. So that is the first bootleg that I've ever been on.
So okay, so this is a 7-inch, but it was a bootleg 7-inch.
Yeah, we put out a cassette only album, and then I think those 2 songs are literally 2 songs from the cassette that were played into a recorder. That's the cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other band is Face First.
Yes.
But
And the
that's
same,
not connected to you.
it's
What's
not.
what's the name of the 7-inch? Do you remember?
I think it was just called Face First. I mean, if I could freak everybody out and get up and walk behind the camera, I could find one for you.
Hold on.
I can see them from
1986.
something like that. No,
Is it?
no. That's it. But it was before. Oh yeah, no, it could have been 86. I was in high school.
1986.
I was in high school.
I can buy one for $25.
Oh, that's wow. I think they were $3. That's quite an appreciation,
Well, it's also, over 40 years ago, right? So,
Sure.
or almost 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm gonna put that in my watch list because I might just, grab me one of those.
Dude, I'll send you one. I think I've got an extra copy.
So that means that you guys have a page on here. So Face First.
Yep.
It also has this.
And that is a bootleg made by the same company that made the Death Puppy bootleg. And they literally just played that 7-inch into something else and
Look
then
at you.
put it out.
Look at you looking like the guy from Incubus and shit.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
He's a very good looking, fit man.
Oh, well, that's okay. Then I'll take it. I'll take it.
And then
That
there's
was a
another one here.
Senior in high school.
This one right here.
Oh, that's NOTA. And now that's a flyer, isn't it?
It says that it is a cassette live at Skaterama.
Oh, okay. NOTA stands for None of the Above, and they were a ripping great hardcore band from
So
Oklahoma
so this
back
is
in
a
the day.
cassette that includes some of a band called R.I.P., some
Mm-hmm.
Face First, and then some NOTA.
Yeah,
So it's
NOTA is amazing. None of the Above, man. They were great. Great live. Brutal live. Amazing live.
Oh, well then
Yeah.
NOTA. I love these kind of things because I love
Rabbit holes.
I just love, oh man, NOTA did a split with Corrosion of Conformity.
Yes, probably. They were very known in the scene at the time as being
Nice.
a top of their game kind of group. They were Oklahoma's claim to fame, other than the Flaming Lips, of course.
Oh, they were on Unclean Records.
Yes, they were.
And
And
there,
Cat.
there were some cool bands in because that's an Austin, Texas label.
Yes, it is.
And so there were some cool bands that I knew back in the day.
Okay.
They were
Sure,
on
sure, sure.
Unclean Records. That's really cool. It's like I just love now I'm just gonna see if I can find this real quick because I think it'll be easy enough to find. But this is a good example of like the shit that I love. I have my 7-inches right here.
Oh, okay, good. Just off camera.
Yeah, it's a little box right here.
Yeah, that way you can keep an eye on them when you're recording.
Like this right here. Have you ever heard this?
No, is that
So
great?
this
That's
is
great.
this is a really interesting thing because it's a band from LA, from the LA scene in the 80s,
in the 80s.
and they
okay.
only put out you can get like a compilation now with like other shit, but this is the only actual thing they ever put out.
Okay.
And it's just a really fun sort of energetic punky rock song, but the lyrics are they would upset some people today because
And what's the name of that, please? What does it say? What's the name?
beat
of that?
her with a rake.
That would upset some people.
Because the lyrics of the song are all about your woman cheats on you.
Right.
And the chorus of the song is beat her with a rake and made her pay for her mistake. Beat her with a rake and made her pay for her mistake. But
Okay, so they
but
need to
it's
get
actually
Ryan some-
it's a fun, energetic song. But
Okay.
it's just, got this edgy, it's tongue in cheek, obviously, like a lot of things were.
Of course.
But
What did
but
he get beat with?
like this is it for this band, and I love that. So I'm just
Oh, it's great.
I have this 7-inch. Anyway,
tons of stuff like that in the world that like changed your life, and no one else has ever heard it.
Well, I've also got like there's oh shit. Okay. Come on, motherfuckers. Everything's falling over.
Right.
Like, this is a band. This is a band from Austin, Texas that like nobody fucking knows who they are. And
That's
this
my
is
daughter's initials.
Yeah. Well, SAP is the name of the band.
Yeah, okay,
But
fantastic. What year? What year?
this came out, I believe, in '93, I think. But they were like a noise rock band, like really
Perfect.
noisy and screamy
Yes.
and discordant style
Okay.
riffs. But like nobody knows who the fuck they were because like not only did they not blow up and become big outside of Austin, they never put out anything that isn't on vinyl. Like they have 2 7-inches and a split LP.
With who?
That's with the band is called Coward. Coward was the other band.
Okay.
Anyway, like it almost makes music like that even more important to me because like nobody knows who they are. I mean, I say nobody. There's a very small group of people who know who they are.
Sure.
And so that kind of stuff always, that's why I'm like, you talk about like your older bands, like, oh, we only had 1 7-inch. I'm like, that makes it even cooler to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, and plus I love the energy of like early stuff that there was no recording in your home. And
Nope.
maybe you got a deal where you got one afternoon in a studio and you had to
Yes.
throw something together. Like I love like the very
100%.
first, like a good example is the very first DRI.
Yes.
It's like that was recorded here in Houston,
Okay.
and it sounds so raw, but
So raw.
perfect for how it's supposed to sound. And the thing is, if that shit was done today, the music might still be fine, but the
Right.
recording would be too good.
Yes.
And so I love hearing that young thing of like, oh, these are dudes who were like teenagers, maybe early 20s, and they just
Oh, yeah.
went into a studio. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, you
Yeah.
know?
2-track live or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean? No
that's-
separation of instruments. Just like had to play it. No overdubs. You know, you got, and that's it. You were in there for that time you paid for that you had to scrape together. And a lot of times it was weird. It was like somebody who, well, you know how it goes, like somebody who ran sound at a church. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I had friends
and,
that
they
recorded
used,
it,
yeah, they usually did. They usually recorded the choir or the church band on the weekend or whatever. But like somebody's kid rode a skateboard,
yeah.
and so you got to talking to him, and they're like, "Yeah, my uncle has a recording, can record," and then you go pay that dude money, and you just one afternoon you freak that dude out. You know what I mean? Yeah, he has no idea. He seems to be nice, you know, and he tries to be, and then you have, and then he mixes it down onto 1/4-inch tape, and you got to send that off to the pressing plant and just hope it comes back sounding okay because there's no mastering, there's no anything, you know what I mean? Yeah, so those were the days, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And do you collect those cassette only records by any chance?
No,
Because there's a lot of cassette only records back from the day that are really, really cool.
yeah, mostly because I don't like playing cassettes.
You don't have a deck?
I do have a deck, but I just don't like the way they sound.
You do
And
not too much hiss or something, or what? Are you
yeah,
talking about?
and it's just and also when tapes get older, they'll get a little muddy sounding.
Yes, they do.
And
Totally.
but I'll do that. I have some cassettes and I will occasionally buy some stuff, but usually like cassette only things I haven't bought yet, but
Right.
I mean I have stuff. I have band stuff that was cassette only that you didn't hear because that's from the 90s. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I have a box of cassettes of just a bunch of dumb stuff. But I'm excited that you're going to be recording again.
Yes.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
won't have the energy of the first DRI album, but it will. I'll do my best.
Well, dude, that was one of the things we did when we got together. We were like, wow, we're in our 50s now, and trying to keep up that pace is not an easy thing to do, especially for the drummer. You know, you're like, wow.
The thing that's so weird is that I played my last show with my last band. I think it was 2016, may have been 2015, but I just remember that there was a culmination of things that happened in my life where like I was living alone in this tiny apartment with my daughter, and then I wasn't money was tight, and I made the mistake of like not paying my car payment,
Sure.
and those motherfuckers came and took my car.
Yes, they will.
And so all of a sudden, I lived close enough to where I was working at the time, so where I could just go to work. But I was like, so I had to tell my band, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to like take some time off because I don't have a car. I can't get to practice because we practiced on the other end of Austin. That's a long trek. And then for some reason, once I was unburdened with the band life, I just went, oh, this is really nice. Like, I don't have to lug my equipment out to a show downtown where you can't park anywhere near the venue.
Yep.
And then you play for like 3 people who are just dudes from other bands and the bartender.
And the bartender.
And but it was because like everything involving band life, I was never the dude that was booking the shows. That was the one thing. No, there was always, because I always was in bands with people who were more social than I was or had more connections than I did. But songwriting was usually at least 80% on my shoulders. Sure. And motivation also was about 80% on my shoulders. Like making sure we're going to practice, making sure we're, it was like, keeping everybody sort of excited about stuff. And it just got so exhausting playing to nobody. But the weird thing is, so I've gone through however many years it's been now, almost 10 years of me going, yeah, I don't want to be in a band anymore. But now that I've made that jump in my head to where I'm like, oh, I just want to be a bass player. Now I'm like, oh, do I want to do this again? But like, I want to approach it from, I just want to show up and play bass. Right. Like, I don't want to write songs. I mean, maybe if I have a riff idea, I'll throw it at you, but I don't want to write songs. I can do backing vocals, but I would love to be like, not to bring, I'll bring up Fugazi a million times because I love them. But Joe Lally in Fugazi, he doesn't even stand up front with the rest of the dudes. He's back next to the drummer, just going, do, 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 playing some of the sickest bass riffs you've ever fucking heard.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, I would kind of like to do that. Like, I just want to be in the pocket, with the drummer.
Yep.
But I haven't gotten to that point yet where I want to do anything about it, because I know that especially once I put myself out there and I'm like, oh, I'm going to look for other dudes who are my age doing music. Sure. It's going to be lame. It's not going to be good.
Well, that's too bad. Do you have
maybe I want to find, I'm in Houston, so maybe I can find some old Mexican dudes that want to do like a crossover thrash kind of thing. Maybe I'll get into that. I don't know.
Okay, man, keep me posted. But you're gonna have to get an amp, though. You're gonna have to get an amp,
or you can move down here and we'll start a band.
Oh, I love Texas. You don't seem to. I think I'm telling the truth. I think when I say how much I love Texas, but I do. I think Texas is awesome.
Well, I'm glad.
I could do without some of the politics or whatever, and now the weed thing and the abortion thing is pretty fucked up. That's some nuts stuff.
Well, so what is it that you like about it? People in cowboy hats?
The people, man. The people. There's some. All y'all people is good. You get down there and get in, and just get out in the mix. And there's some really good people.
So
they have to be. They have to be because they live in Texas.
I've lived here for 46 years now, and I can tell you that probably 25% of those people are actually genuine. Everybody else, it's a show. It's the Texas show. Howdy, y'all, I'm from Texas. And then as soon as they go home, there's slurs being thrown around like, you wouldn't believe what I had to see at the market today. It's all of that when they go home. It's all a fucking show. There's no like, Texas hospitality is just fucking cosplay. Like, it's not real. But there are some genuinely great people, but you could say that about any part of the fucking
Well, no, that's true. And I would say 25% is probably an accurate number.
yeah.
You know,
But
of course,
I've lived through seeing too many of these people that want the world to think that they're this, fun loving, gentle, kind, welcoming guy, and then you get them home and they're a complete asshole. And it's just like, yeah, fuck that.
right on.
There's none of that here. So
I just remember, and it's been a long time, since I played a gig there or whatever, but we drove through parts of Texas we did the whole like Grand Canyon, Painted Desert, Crater City,
yeah,
New Mexico, Arizona, whatever Texas thing. It was not this last summer, but the summer before, and it was great. And but we used to go because we were in Oklahoma for two of the bands from Oklahoma. We would go to Amarillo, and Amarillo was great. I mean, we met some very cool kids down there that were doing their own shows.
yeah,
They fed you, they put you up, they were great, they were nice. You know what I mean? We go
yeah.
and then when in Stick we would do Dallas and Houston and Austin, and Kill Whitey played in Austin several times in kind of the early South by Southwest years, and I just was always impressed with. I mean, there was always a person or people that you met that you were like, that person's very fucking cool.
Yeah,
You
well,
know what I mean?
at that point back in the day in Austin, there was a whole lot of artsy
Yes.
people in the art.
Yes.
So that
Totally.
so that was cool. But also the cities you mentioned, Austin, Houston, Dallas. Dallas not so much anymore, but it's
San
still there.
Antonio. What's the one down next to the
San
water?
Antonio as well. Yeah, San Antonio as well. Those are cities that have become very diverse,
Yes.
and so it does. Like I love Houston. It's a joke in Houston that if somebody says you're from Texas, you say no, I'm from Houston. Like that's because Houston is
Right.
like one of the most diverse cities in the world.
Sure.
And so you get this vibe of like, oh shit, like everywhere you go, you're going to run into like a different culture.
Yep.
And those people are not hiding their fucking culture. You get to learn something.
Nope.
You're going here
Yep.
to this particular store, you're going to get a completely different sort of experience than you are over here. So I think that does breed a certain type of person when you grow up that
Yes.
but in all of these scenes there, especially back in the day, there were tons of cool DIY punk and metal scenes.
Yep.
Really cool people.
Yes.
I'm just curious about how they all turned out like 30 years later. What are they like now? The ones that were throwing the all day punk festivals in the VFW hall when I was younger, like those people were all very cool, but like, are they still cool?
I don't know. I mean, well, and another thing and because I don't hang out with youth anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the version of that is nowadays. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's got to be something going on that I don't know about simply because I am
Yeah.
56 years old. You know
I
what
do
mean?
know. I do know in Houston there is still DIY shows, and there are still quote unquote venues that aren't necessarily like bars. It's like
Yes.
a place
Yes.
a place for like art installations, and it lets
Yep.
people do shows because
Yep.
there's a pretty big metal scene here and hardcore scene as well.
Okay.
And there are a lot of younger bands, and you will see them playing these either really small clubs or like just different venues that you never even heard of the venue before. Like, what the fuck is this? And it's just a one-off show. So that's still going on.
Great.
And I almost feel like it's probably easier to throw those things together because you don't got to go put up flyers all around town. You just have a mailing list or a Facebook group or a
Sure.
whatever, and you get the word out, and people then share it, and it spreads. Like if you want to, like, I'm almost kind of annoyed that I'm not young these days because like there's a part of me that knows that like I love when I grew up and it was really great, but I'm like how cool would it be to be like 17 years old in my first band, and I'm literally just like, it's just on the internet, and I connect with people on the internet, and then we get people to come to the shows, and it's
Oh, right.
I would I would love that. But
Yeah.
when I started playing in a band, man, the especially the Austin music scene, but like rock music in general. So this was 95 when I started my
Okay.
first. Um, rock music in general, it was already losing some of its luster, you know.
Yes, I
Where
do, because 95 is when I stopped. I think
yeah, so
probably
it's
95. Yeah.
yeah, so it's so the thing that you would hear just a couple years earlier, which is like, oh, you never know who's going to be at your show. There's going to be, you know, Johnny, a record label is going to be there with a big
Right.
cigar watching you
Right.
play and be like, you guys got the goods. I want to sign you for $1 million deal.
Right.
That wasn't happening anymore.
No.
Or it was, but not anywhere near as often. Um,
Does
but
it even happen anymore? You got to be Taylor Swift now or something, right? In order to be.
A&R people still exist, but they look at streams and TikTok followers and shit like that.
Right.
So yeah, kind of sucks. Maybe I don't want
That
to be a
part
kid these
seems,
days.
yeah. Well, no, I agree, man, because like I'll come across somebody will send me like a video or a link to some group or whatever, and I'll hear them, and they're like they blow me away, because I mean, to stand at this juncture of history and have to uh like assert yourself against or jump into whatever is happening right now, which is I guess what the most connected world we've ever lived in that we know.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know
yeah.
but right, in this parallel in this universe anyway or whatever, but then on the other hand, you are super connected, so there is kind of a washing that happens when it all has to go on the same format. And I know we were all on records or whatever, we were all on cassettes or whatever, but you could come up with that thing that you thought that you were talking about that's so cool, like where actually 17 people heard what you did, but they really liked it and you knew them and you hung out with them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's happening, but I would think that but okay, so when I go back to try to find something and I only have YouTube, I just can type in old hardcore band or, oh shit, Painted Willie. I haven't listened to Painted Willie in years or whatever. And I go to find them. A fucking ad for Verbo comes up. And then I'm all like, God damn it. Like do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
advertising was nowhere near the music that I listened to for the majority of my young life. And
Yeah.
now it's just an ad for something and an ad for something. And I'll be goddamned if I'm going to pay money to YouTube to get the ad-free version. You know what I mean? Because that just seems,
Yeah. It
you
and
know,
it's weird because I had like a exchange with a guy on a social media app because somebody posted something about how they want to be able to use ad blockers on YouTube and they're upset that they don't work or something like that. And for somebody like me that I make YouTube videos like these people are watching right now,
sure. Hopefully.
ad revenue is the only way I make money. And I don't
Sure.
make any money because I don't have that many subscribers, but I make a little bit and it all comes from ad revenue. So I basically commented and said, like, yeah, it sucks that you have to like spend your time to help out these creators that you're watching. And this other guy commented and said his whole spiel was that he doesn't want to give these big corporations his time, or he doesn't feel good about giving the corporations his time or whatever. It was loaded with a lot of buzzwords like multi-conglomerate or whatever shit. Like words that are over my head because I'm not that smart. But he's commenting this on an app owned by Facebook. So it's like
Totally.
so I'm just
Totally.
like, look, all
Totally.
you're doing is being self-righteous. So
Totally.
but the thing that sucks though is that the world that we have now created, all of us, not I guess not all of us, because not everybody is on the internet or whatever, but now in order to do like what I do or being in a band or whatever, you now have to play the game with corporations, even though you didn't get a record contract or whatever.
Right,
So before it would
right.
be like, hey, if you're gonna like have to be a part of some ad kind of thing, you at least got your advance and got signed to Capitol Records or whatever else. Now, if you don't play the game, you're not getting any kind of compensation or reward for whatever it is that you're doing. And I know that some people do things strictly out of the joy of doing it, and I do that to some respect. But once you've been doing it for 6 years, you want a little dough to come your way, especially when you see these other people who put no fucking thought into the shit that they do, and they get millions of views and they can quit their jobs just because they put on an outfit and did a makeup tutorial. And I'm just like, no originality, no thought. Also, good on them for taking the system and just being like, fucking pay my bills. But then there's people like me, and I'm just like, I have to play this game, and I do my best. And at the end of the day, I make about $100 every 2 months from YouTube. That's what I get.
Ooh.
So
You pay taxes on that?
yeah. At the end of the year, you do. So
Maybe we should just do some makeup tutorials.
that might not be a bad idea. But
We
the
could
point
dye our beards.
the point I was trying to make though is that
sorry about that.
you're annoyed by the ads that came up. I get annoyed by the ads too, but it's like, this is how it works now. And so you're just wanting to go listen to an old punk band, but the guy, whoever uploaded that music, she just put it out there for free, and maybe he gets a couple bucks at the end of it all because people watched the ads before the thing that he put up. But then, I don't know. And it's just, it's just one of those things where everything's gotten so muddy, and everyone wants there to be just one answer to everything. And so it's like, no, I'm putting my foot down right here, and I'm not going to be a part of these corporations. And I just want to be like, sir, you're commenting to me on Instagram. Can you get over yourself? So, and like, so it's like, pick your battles, but also understand that like everybody's living through this right now. We're all living through this. And the only people that aren't struggling with it are really old people because they don't care to be involved in it at all. But those people are involved in some sort of way because I bet you they're still watching some streaming service that they're paying money for, or whatever it is that they're doing. And so it's interesting to me because like I can clearly see the wrong and right of it all.
Yep.
But how do you even begin to fix it? Like,
I don't know.
like there's only like speaking of recent events in history, you have to start by taking out the people on top. Not condoning anything like that.
No.
But I'm just saying I think that's where we've come in this world now, to where if you start thinking about it too much, you're just like, even like, oh, come on, let's start a grassroots campaign in order to take these signatures to the senator or whatever. And that doesn't do shit because the senator is being bought by some other fucking chode that's like a billionaire, and then they're not going to do anything about it. And it's just, if you start digging in, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. If you start digging in all of the bullshit, it's never ending, and you're going to hit brick wall after brick wall after brick wall. And then you look up and you go, oh, there's a guy standing up there that's putting the bricks up. I'm just going to get rid of him. And so it's like, I get it. I get being that fucking frustrated with the world because like the most fascinating thing is how completely upset and shocked I am whenever there's like a school shooting or any kind of mass shooting or anything like that.
Yep.
But my wife brought it up too. She was like, do you remember when like all those billionaires were in that submarine and it just imploded and like none of us cared? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't care. I care one way or another about those rich fucks that just went down in a submarine when they shouldn't have. And so like so I get it. I'm just like it gets to a point where the gap is so huge between you and I and Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or whatever. The gap is so wide. And you look at those people, I think we talked about this before, where it's just like, how hard would it be for them to just be like, you know what? I have billions of dollars. Right. I'm going to spread the word and then be looked at as one of the best people in the world for the rest of my life. But they're not doing that. They're not. They're choosing to not do that. I don't know how we got up on this fucking tangent.
Well, dude, because we were talking about advertisement in the world and the internet and where we're at. You know what I mean?
You probably had to watch ads in this video just so I can get like $2. Well, I would love to have $200 at the end of 2 months. That'd be fucking great.
Okay. Well, hey, and again, this gets us back to the fact that we got to get you more views on these goddamn videos is what we got to do.
All right. So we're going to have to get naked.
I was going to say, but we can't do nudity, right? Because YouTube does not like nudity, and nobody wants to see us naked.
Not me anyway. I don't know. I saw that picture of you from years ago, man. I didn't look that good when I was that young.
You didn't?
No, I've been chubby my entire life.
Oh, come on. Anyway. Hey, I'm going to ask you too, dude, because I've been sending you texts with Gene Simmons's face pasted on everybody.
Yeah.
Did you paste your and Eddie's faces on the Jane's Addiction album cover?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I just positioned us. One, I had to cover up the titties, and then I just decided to position us right at the right spot where it looked like our heads were on fire.
Your heads are on fire.
Yeah.
That was a good episode, man.
Thanks,
man. When that fucking record came out, and you know what? I've never even heard that live one that you guys were talking about. Never even went back and listened to it. I was getting into like this weird 6 month. Like I don't know how far back. Here's the deal.
You're talking about Nothing Shocking, right?
Yes, Nothing Shocking.
Yeah.
I got into metal for about six months. I started. There was this very pretty young girl at a Johnson County Community College poetry writing class that I took or whatever.
Yeah.
And she had the hair and the whole thing, you know what I mean? And I got to know her and she was really into metal and stuff. So to be cool.
When you say metal, what was she into? Do you remember?
Well, all that stuff that was going on in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know, but it was the mainstream stuff. But like, for instance, she had a copy of the Guns N' Roses record, like before there was a Welcome to the Jungle single. That record was out for a little while, right? Before that stuff kind of took off.
Yeah, but I think Welcome to the Jungle was the first single off the album. But
did it come out when the album came out?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but it didn't get like big rotation immediately.
It got nothing. Nobody really knew who they were until what? Sweet Child of Mine. And then
and in Paradise City for sure. Yeah, by that point.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was the third single, wasn't it?
I believe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I come from a punk rock background. That's where I'm at. And so that's where I came from, and that's what I resonate with, and that's who I am as a person. And it took Mike and Daryl to write that stuff in order to bring me into the other realm, to come away from hardcore music, punk rock music. I mean, I think there was it got stale. If you got into it around 80, you were kind of out of it by 85, because there was like, okay, how long can we do this? You know what I mean? And it became rigid, and there wasn't much room for experimentation.
But that was what birthed what I think are some of the best bands, because like those bands were getting bored, and then you get shit like Husker Du and Minutemen, all that kind of stuff. Like the stuff where they were like, we're still technically a punk band.
Sure.
But we're Nasty. Yeah. Any of that stuff. Well, yeah, and then you're going
Fugazi.
the Fugazi, but like Descendants and
Back to
all
Fugazi.
that stuff. Like you
Sure.
just yeah, stuff that where everyone was kind of just going in all these different
Right.
directions. So like
Right.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
But she was so she got me into Guns N' Roses, and I remember there was this really cool dude that was friends with. His name was Sean, and he called me up. This is when you had phones, and so he called me up and he's like, "Dude, I got this record, man. I'm gonna bring it over. You got to hear it. It's fucking great. It's gonna blow your mind." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, man. Whatever, And I didn't work that day, and he came over in the afternoon, and he had that flip over army bag thing, and boom, and he pulls out that thing with that two Siamese twins on fire, and that kind. I was like, whoa, like I already was like, that was and then to be called Nothing Shocking, and it was obviously a shocking image, was really fantastic. And I remember, you're renting a house with other people, right? So your stereo's in your room, and we went up there and I put that thing on there, and I remember, and he said to me, he goes, and he was into metal too. He was into a lot of stuff, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, this is gonna blow everybody's doors. This is gonna be it. This is the record. This is the thing." And I remember I was getting he was putting the hard sell on that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when
Yeah.
I played that record, dude, I felt I was who sounded like that before? Do you know what I mean? Like that's one of those bands, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about it, there's a jam factor, there's a hard rock factor, there's kind of a funky factor. The lyrics are great.
Yeah.
His style of singing was kind of, I don't know, it was fantastic. I absolutely loved that record. And I saw them live, and he was saying the same things that he was like, "You fucking people suck so bad." He was like yelling at the audience. He was like, "Why don't you dig yourself a grave and just jump the fuck in? You are so lame." He was antagonizing the audience, and he's dressed
Nice.
in like, some transvestite thing or whatever that was just like, remember his hair and everything? He was like,
Yeah.
probably, was he on drugs way back then?
Yeah. I'm sure.
Okay. All right. So he was freaked out of his mind, and he had a whole rack of effects that he stood next to, and he would, wow, he was like going nuts, and they were like an art band. They were like a
Yeah.
total art band. And that was
Yeah.
one of the best shows. He was so
See,
pissed off. It was one of
That
the
is
best
that is
shows
the thing though.
I've
That
ever
is the
seen.
thing. As much as like, I put Ritual as my number one Jane's album, but
Yes.
if I could go back in time and see them live, it would be during Nothing Shocking. Because I'm like, that just seems like it lends itself to an amazing live show.
Like, and there was
Yeah.
the place was not full. Do you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you felt like the other people that you were there with were seeing something, like you were like, "Are you seeing this?" And I was
Yeah.
like, there was like and I guess we were in Kansas, so what did we know? Maybe that was going on in LA all the time. I don't know. But they played with the Buck Pets. Did you ever get into the Buck Pets?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know the name.
yeah, you should check them out.
All right.
Buckpets. Buck Pets. They put out two really great records. But that was a fantastic show. But when you were doing that, when you were talking about Jane's Addiction, I can fully, because you and Eddie like share how music gets to you and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
what I like about hearing you talk, is because I can plug that in. You know what I mean? We all have an experience when like, hey,
Yeah.
that's the first time I bought a Kiss record. Like, oh, or that's the first time I bought this, or that's when somebody played me this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But
But
yeah,
but I love I mean, I talk about it in that episode of those bands that were kind of on the fringes
yes,
are some of the most important bands to me because I was into Van Halen and Guns N' Roses and all that shit, but discovering Faith No More and Living Color and bands like that was the shit
yes,
where it really sort of expanded my brain at that important time, teenage
yes,
years. And so like I feel so lucky to be that young around that time because I feel
yes,
like I soaked in so much of that the idea of like no band has to sound like anything in particular. And on top of that, their albums don't have to sound the same. Their songs don't have to sound the same. None of it
no,
has to
right.
make any kind of fucking sense. So that's why I get so mad at myself to bring it back home. That's why I get mad at myself in my
Okay.
songwriting because I'll listen to something and go, well, Mountain Song does not have a chorus,
No.
but it's fucking amazing. I'm like, well, why can't I write something like that? Like why why am I so bent out of shape on, these rules? And because like when it
Oh,
comes to
sure.
me being a music fan, there are no fucking rules. Like
To what you like. There are no rules to what you like. Is
what
that
I
what you're
enjoy.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, to what, yeah,
There's
okay.
no rules whatsoever. That's why like if you go listen to my radio station,
Oh, it's all over the place.
you might hear Cannibal Corpse followed by Poison followed by Fugazi. Like that
Yes.
is well because that doesn't feel weird to me at all because it's almost like you get this different. It's like you go to a fancy restaurant and they bring you the little portions that are like really little and it's like, well, here's a certain flavor right here. Do you enjoy that
Right.
flavor? We got
Yeah.
another flavor for you that isn't quite the same, but it's going to go
Right.
pretty well. And I'm just like that's how I am with music. I'm just like I don't want to listen to 5 thrash albums in a row.
No.
Once I've done 2, I want to listen to some some I don't know some post punk kind of shit
Right.
or maybe I want to listen to death metal. I don't know. I'm just
Right. So I'm fascinated by the what seems like almost limited genre capacity for metal. Like what's that one that's called like Dejang or Jung or
gent
Jing or
gent.
Gent? Yeah, what the fuck is that? Like that's pretty intense. So you got your death metal, your doom metal, your black metal, your thrash metal, your speed metal, your heavy metal, your ink like leather
Folk
and
metal.
fu-
There's folk metal.
funk metal.
Funk metal, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much metal. Rap metal.
And you know why that happened?
Why?
Because everybody got so bent out of shape trying to fit things into some kind of box, which is not what was happening in the 80s and 90s. It was
Right.
you would say metal band and you would see all these different sort of shades of metal and then eventually people go, well, what do you call this? And then that's where I just go, who the fuck cares? It's called
Right.
the band name, whatever
Right.
band name
Right.
they fucking chose.
Right.
And especially in this day and age with the internet, when I post a lot of pictures. Like I love interacting with people. So when I'm here on the weekend and I'm listening to records, I always post a picture of what I'm listening to with a little blurb of like, here's how I feel about this album or whatever.
Okay, right
And
on.
then sometimes people will go, what does this band sound like? And I'll just be like, fucking Google it. Because I'm like, it's so easy to just
Right.
go listen to the amount of time it took you to make that comment. You
You
could
would
have
have found out already.
put it in Google and heard a song immediately.
Right.
And
But you
so,
would have seen a Verbo ad though.
oh shit. I almost feel like that should be where we wrap up the episode. That's a really
Right.
nice.
Verbo.
It's always good to end on a joke.
Oh, okay, right on. What time is it? Oh, that's good. We started at 7.
Little after 7, so this is this has been a good time to
Oh,
wrap
so
it up.
this is actually short for us if we wrapped it up right now, buddy.
It's going to be about out maybe hour 45, something like that. What are you? What?
Cheers.
I'm just
Cheers,
saying.
bud.
I like. Sometimes you feel something come around full circle, and I'm just like that. That's when an ending
Yes.
feels good.
Okay,
Um,
but could we
Do you start
I-
counting on your thumb, or if you're counting, do you start with your thumb?
well, today I'm starting on my thumb because I felt like this was the best hand gesture that I could make.
Watch
Um,
this. Watch this.
Oh, you're gonna count. Oh, that's amazing. How did you do that?
You have to be on a Mac, and you have to be
So,
updated to the most
Is this
recent.
the signal?
Yeah, but you got to be in full view of the camera.
Oh, come on.
And then hold
How
on.
do you just not do that all the time? I would do every show like
You ready?
this.
Here's my favorite.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's my favorite.
Fuck off, dude.
Unfortunately, this doesn't do anything.
Not even one thing.
No.
Can you do
It
something
feels
in
good.
post?
It feels
Can
good.
you do something in post?
Oh, I should. I'm not that good. I don't get paid enough to do that much work.
Oh, okay, right on. Okay. But what I wanted to say was
Yes.
that the discussion that we had
Uh-huh.
about starting some kind of thing to on your channel, and thank you very much for including me. I very much appreciate that. But it
Hmm.
was like it came out of the conversation that we were having about your music and
Yes.
about you had felt stalled and where you were feeling as a musician, and I was kind of in the same place, and so we decided we were going to probably try to talk one another into writing music again, basically, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we had talked about the expectations and about, you are who you are, right? So you find who you are and you can challenge that to a certain extent, but really why try to be something else if you're not that thing when you actually have a very good thing that you are, but you haven't been mining that quality, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you like literally changed instruments.
Hmm.
So there's a good one, right? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you covered songs.
Yeah.
There's nothing like learning, getting yourself back and motivation to write and to play, to covering some of your favorite tunes.
It
That'll
was
get you going.
it was very helpful for me. Yeah.
Okay. So can you think of anything else that we've talked about that could go into the self-help book of how to get musicians writing songs again?
I don't know, start a show.
Oh. So then I was thinking the other day, if I actually have not started really writing, though you played the other day or the other week, but what I thought was that I was going to have you teach me how to do. You were going to inspire me to start my own YouTube channel,
Oh,
and then right, and then I may never have to write music again, but then I could have you on and when telling me how to do a YouTube channel.
I mean, I would do that. Would you? But would you actually want to do that? Like what?
Well, I guess so. I mean, look, I got a
Oh, you have. Yeah, you have a way
yeah.
better microphone than I have. So
I have a microphone. I got an outboard camera. I got these fancy lights. These things are awesome. You know what I mean? And I got kind of a knack for this kind of thing. Would you call this interior design?
yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what? My favorite thing about your whole aesthetic when you do videos is that it reminds me of access television shows from in the '90s. You know, like you could rent out the public studio, and you had to rent time at the studio, and then you'd have a backdrop, and you would do like a show about how there's actually aliens walking among us. You know, it was Alex
Oh,
Jones started that way in
yeah.
Austin.
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks did that too. Did you know? Did you
And
know? Did I tell you that I went to high school with Alex Jones? I did.
no, you did not.
He was a
You
senior.
went to high school with Alex
Alex,
Jones.
he was a senior when I was a freshman. I did not know him, but we went to the same high school.
Isn't that amazing? His transformation as a human being.
It's depressing. It makes
Well, it is that.
it makes me doubt like humanity in general because like he for a while
Was awesome.
he seemed like a dude that was fighting for the little guy and he was a little bit nutty but in a really likable way. And then,
Totally.
man, that turned real quick. Once
It,
money got
right.
involved, that's what I'm telling you. Money gets involved, and then
Oh, so it's good that you're not making any money because that way you're making quality
you
shit,
know
dude.
what? I want to find out. Okay,
Oh, you want to find?
I want to
So
find
I'm
out.
gonna sell out, man. I want to
I want
sell
to
out, man.
start.
Sell me out.
Yeah, I want
Well,
to. But here's the thing. You know why it wouldn't work? Because I will never change my tune. So the only way that I would do it is that I ended up making millions doing what I already do. Because if somebody came to me and said, "Oh no, we want you to do videos all about country music," I'd be like, "Fuck you! I'm not doing that. Like that's not who
that's
I
gonna be
am. I don't care how
gonna be
much
my
money
YouTube channel.
you country music."
I'm gonna start a country, and then you're gonna come on as a guest. It's gonna be awesome. Then you're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
make
just
a
gonna.
million dollars. It'll be amazing. Whoa, that's all it took. That's all it took.
Yeah,
Wow.
talk about country for a couple episodes and you make
Yeah.
millions.
Hey, man, if you're gonna make it through 10 Linkin Park records,
That's better. I'm
oh,
I'm
okay,
gonna have a better time doing that because at least
okay.
there's some riffs involved in it.
Well, sure, but okay. So, do we need to talk about how weird it is that he and Chris Cornell were friends and that they both hung themselves and stuff like that's kind of that's
Yeah,
like a that's a thick, deep story, right? And did he
I
hang himself on his birthday, on Chris Cornell's birthday?
yeah, I feel like they both they probably became friends because they bonded over like trauma and mental health issues because they were
Right.
both dudes that seemed well. Chris Cornell wasn't like didn't talk about it a lot, but you could kind of tell from his lyrics and stuff, and you know
Very right, right,
he
right.
had some issues. But yeah, I don't know that kind of thing always makes me really sad because I don't. I've been I've dealt with so many issues in my life, and I've been very depressed many times in my life.
Hmm.
But I've never felt what that feels like when you're just like, fuck it, I want it to all be over. And that for
Right.
some reason makes me really like sad for them because I'm like, oh my God, what is that like when you all of a sudden feel that way? Where you're like, I would
Totally.
rather it just be nothing than this. Especially when I look at people that are
Oh, right.
in
It to be
successful
dead.
bands.
Hmm.
I look at
Instead of what now?
people that are in successful bands,
Sure.
and I'm just like, how depressing is that? That like even finding success at the thing that you really want to do, that's not going to fix you. Like that's depressing to me. So
Yeah. Yeah. So much in that story.
yeah.
It's interesting. You were talking about how you wished that time could just arrest Chris Cornell in the 90s.
Oh
You made a
fuck.
statement about that. And what's funny is like a couple days before that I looked up I've always liked that. Is it Gun? Is that the name? I've got an idea of something
I like
we
that song.
that
It
song.
speeds up as it goes. Like it's
Oh, so good.
yeah,
Yeah. Fuck
yeah,
off. Like it just goes so
yeah,
crazy, right? And I love that song. I was looking for that, and I ended up seeing that Louder Than Love video where he's got like Chris has got those shorts on that are like made of duct tape or whatever. And
yeah.
you do see him in that with I mean, and you're like, yeah, that's is pretty sad that time took some of that shit away from him because he was
Yeah,
like a god, dude. That
he
was like insane when that came
he
when he
what he to me, Chris Cornell, especially early '90s Chris Cornell.
right.
That to me is the closest that I had in my life to like a Robert Plant or somebody
Yes,
like that, where
totally.
you just look at him and you go,
Wow.
you're amazingly talented, amazingly good looking,
Yeah,
amazingly like like
right.
to the point where you seem like you exist on a completely different plane than
Right.
most humans.
Right.
That's crazy. And like even he wasn't happy. Like that's
Right.
and I have so many issues with myself and I don't have any of that Chris Cornell juice going on. So
Maybe it's too much pressure, man.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. I mean, I that shit makes me sad. All these great musicians that, for whatever reason, they, whether it's mental health or whether it's drugs, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people turn to drugs because of mental health, and so it's like, it ends up like Scott Weiland and obviously Kurt Cobain
Yeah.
and like everybody, like all it just bums me out because like these people are just like so influential, especially to me, and just like I wish there was a way to go and like jump into their brain and be like, hey, it's good, it's all good,
Totally.
like you can like that's the one thing is that like Kurt Cobain had a whole lot of shit going on aside from that, like he had literal health issues that
Right.
he couldn't overcome and were making life not very fun
Right.
on top of mental health issues. So it's but there is that part of me that like I wish that because if he had made it a little bit longer, maybe they could have found some sort of medical thing that could have helped him with his stomach issues. And then all he needed was a really good friend to go up to him and say, hey, you don't have to be in this band anymore. Just fucking don't, just stop. Stop doing it. And then,
Sure.
because that was the big deal, was like his health issues, his mental issues, but he just like, he seemed like, you read a suicide note and most of it sounds like he's just quitting the business. Like that's what most of the note sounds like. And so it's like, I'm like, oh, I bet did anyone around him ever just go to him and say, hey, do you want to just like not do this? Because like speaking from experience, like I've told you, like I'll get anxiety and I'll just go, you know what? I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm not going to go to that show that I paid money to go to see.
Right.
And it feels so much better. And I mean, I don't know him and I didn't know him, but maybe somebody needed to just say that to him. Say, hey, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to do it.
And like what I don't know what like that kind of heroin use also does.
Yeah, it
Like
definitely clouds your judgment. But he was on heroin because it helped his stomach issues.
sure. Right.
Yeah.
It was an opioid thing and it helped him out. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. What was that movie
There's still people that say he was murdered. So you never know.
Well, I didn't want to bring all that stuff up. We've just been talking about Alex
It'll be a
Jones.
long one, folks. Let's get into the conspiracy.
Yeah, there was,
theory.
we could get into, all the stuff about, I mean, I think some people think that Chris Cornell was murdered, and I think some people think that maybe that dude from Lincoln Park was murdered. There's all sorts of weird shit on the internet about all that stuff. But, I mean, it's entertaining to think about. I don't know what the truth is or not, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like you hear that a lot about like, hey, I'm on the top of the game. I'm the most popular thing. I'm the one everyone's talking about. And then 15 minutes later, everyone's like, oh yeah, I used to be into them up until this point, or oh yeah, they were really good then, or oh yeah, their new record sucks, or whatever, their new movie sucks, or their new book sucks, or their new whatever sucks. And it's just like, what does the adrenaline of being on the top of your game do to your fucking head, and then just dipping a little bit, just a little ebb, like
Oh
what
yeah.
does that do to you? And I don't think the entertainment industry is geared to tell you how it feels. I mean, there are a lot of voices that will tell you, yeah, it's really good when you're riding high, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's going to be this thing that's going to come, and you're going to need to keep your head together. But it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like there's enough of I don't know, there's not an outline to follow or a playbook that you can listen to, because man, I don't know what that would like. I think that documentary, or you've seen that footage of people who see Michael Jackson and they just fucking passed out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what does that do to you? If someone sees you, screams, and passes out, like
Yeah.
what does that do to you as a person?
That's
I don't
insane.
know, because it's
It's
never.
insane.
I mean, they've screamed and run away, but it's not because they were, didn't want to see me. But it's like that must just be trippy, man. And then to have everyone in your orbit talking about how cool you are to you all the time. I mean, does Elon Musk have a single person that says he's not cool to his face?
Probably not, because he's
I mean,
paying people, and so people have said that about Michael Jackson's death. They're saying
uh-huh,
like he'd still be alive if he had somebody that had the balls to say no to him. Because it
okay,
was like, because it all is down to like, I want more of this drug. All it took was one person to be like, no, you can't have any more. But nobody's going to say that to Michael Jackson, so he gets
no,
another dose and it
right,
kills him. And I think that's what I'm saying. Like there's so many. It would, in a perfect world, this would never happen because it's money. But like imagine like you start a record label and your record label is like super successful. You have
right,
millions and billions of dollars to throw around for artists. And just like back in like the 70s, you would sign an artist and you would give them time to grow. Like, Rush didn't get big until like 3 or 4 albums in. But the record label was like, well, we're giving you some time. Aerosmith, same way. It's like, but imagine on the other end of that, in your contract with your record label, it's like, hey, we know that if you get to the point where you have 3 or 4 multi-platinum albums in a row, you might release that one that doesn't do well at all, and all of a sudden you drop down and nobody cares anymore. We also have professionals here ready to help you with that descent from
right,
stardom. Like, wouldn't
right.
that be nice if like
Yeah, it would be nice.
your quote unquote record contract, your record label was helping you on the way up, but then they also helped you on the way
Way
down.
down.
Whereas most, labels, as you would see, because you being signed to a label, it's just like one day you're just like, you're not on this label anymore. It's
Right.
like
Oh, totally.
it's just but imagine that from that scenario, a band that it made it fucking big, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, several albums later, you can say that a lot for the '80s like hard rock bands. Like a good example is like Warrant, the band Warrant. Like they had several like major label, riding high, super successful arena tours, and then several years later they were on an indie label, like because that major label didn't stick with them just to see what would happen. They just went, "No, this you didn't. You haven't made enough money anymore. You're out. You're out on the
Hey
street."
man, what is that guy who sings for that band?
Janie Lane.
Jenny Lane.
He
Why
died.
did
He died of drug issues and alcohol issues as well.
Okay, I don't know what I was watching. It was just recently or semi-recently. I don't know what time is anymore, so it could have been 10 years ago. But I
Yeah,
saw like a documentary and he was talking about cherry pie. And all of a sudden he's the cherry pie guy and that wasn't even going to be on the record and all that kind of shit. And it's like, man,
yeah,
like people get involved in your shit and then they change it to something that you don't really recognize and then that's what you get popular for. And then it's like, God damn,
yeah,
like I mean, I would think like I mean, I don't even remember what the final sales tally was, but it was enough to not get us a second record. So that if that says anything, but like if I was known as the no groovy guy and I had to play that song like the rest of my life, you know what I mean? Like that would be
yeah.
nuts. You know what I mean? I
Well,
mean,
to be fair, you
okay.
should go find the Warrant Cranked and Ranked, because I talk about this in greater depth, but if you pay attention to what was happening with Warrant, the whole idea was that the record label wanted them to write something that was kind of more fun, like an anthem, something like their last
Yes.
record. And so he wrote
Yep.
Cherry Pie like one evening, and
As
then
a toss off. He wasn't even
yeah.
really okay.
But then they were still on a major label. Then they made a music video, and in the music video, they look like they're having a good time, and that was successful. So, and he met his wife at the time on that music video shooting. So, I feel like if things had continued going great,
Okay.
he would probably not have made those statements, because he would have been perfectly fine being the Cherry Pie guy, because he would still be on a major, still be putting out successful albums, even if Cherry Pie was the most popular song. Those statements were made by a guy on the other end years later when everyone's blaming grunge or whatever. And so, like, Janie Lane was great singer, great songwriter.
Right.
And I love Warren. I love bands like that. But that's a hindsight thing, where now he's like, well, I don't like being known as the Cherry Pie guy, because at that point it was a negative. It was like, oh, we don't care about any of the other good songs that you wrote. You're the Cherry Pie guy. Fuck off. But at the time,
Okay.
he couldn't have looked at it as that bad of a thing, because there was fun to be had and money to be made. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not
Okay,
saying
but
that
like,
he's a bad person, but it's hard to like be that bummed out when you're just still riding the wave, you know?
so okay, so like for instance, like um how is Kurt Cobain not the Smells Like Teen Spirit guy?
In
Because they
some,
put out another record that was, I mean, did Warrant have another record after that that did anything?
not as much. It's a record that people look at as a good record. People like it, but
Okay.
it didn't make as much money. And then after that, they were dropped from their label. But so with Kurt Cobain, you got to remember, like, they had multiple hit songs
Yes.
that were big hits.
Huge hits.
They also were never dropped from their label and had to make other independent albums they didn't have an album that wasn't successful, because like In Utero sold millions of copies.
Great record.
And yeah, I agree. And then Kurt Cobain killed himself. So there was no downfall.
For
And
him.
so not only do you have the young death part of it that people seem to really enjoy, but there was no failure. So I think that you can't I think some people would call Kurt Cobain the Smells Like Teen Spirit guy because that's the song they know.
Right.
But
It's like like my favorite band, The Clash. People are always like, "Oh, Rock the Casbah," and you're like, "Well, yeah, yes, that song." But they also did all these other really, really fucking awesome. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's like, and that was at near the end of their career, and blah 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 blah. It's
that
like
was the last album, wasn't it? That was their last album. They did that.
yeah, and that.
Music video filmed in Austin, Texas.
Come on, really?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, I think they put out "Cut the Crap," but I don't think anyone really recognizes that as an official Clash record,
Got it.
right? Because Mick was not in the band
I
anymore.
need to go back and listen to London Calling again because I like that album, but I like it because of the variety of songs. Like when I first heard the Clash, I was just like, because like the first Clash album is fine, but I love it when they got to that point where they were just like, this is going to be a reggae song. This is going to be, they literally what the fuck genre do you call Train in Vain? What is
Oh, I
that?
know.
What
I
is
know.
that? It's a
What's
pop
it?
song, but just
Yeah,
the
it's like
fact that like they were so just like we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want and it's gonna be good, and that makes them a cooler band to me than the punk thing, you know?
yes, yeah. I mean, and certainly I loved the Clash's first record, and I think it's got what is uh, what's the big reggae song that they do on there, and then Hammersmith Palais and all that stuff. It's fantastic. It's a great. I mean, and the sound of it is so great, and it captures a mood, and it captures an era, and it captures like just the movement. It's fantastic. And then I loved Give 'Em Enough Rope. I
Mhm.
don't think people really get into that record very much, but it's got Drug Stabbing Time and Tommy Gun and just really 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 solid, like Who quality rock stuff. And they never, they did play the stadiums finally with the Who and stuff, but I mean, it was like you could have put that stuff up against any of those just awesome arena rock, I don't know, fantastic. But by the time London Calling comes out, they have really, really, really come into their own. Like
Yeah.
that record is my favorite record. I have a CD player in my car. It is in my car right now. Do you know what I mean? Like I will listen to that album over and over and over again because yeah, it goes all over the place within that rock genre, and they sound like they're having a good time. And
Yeah.
their lyrics though are very
Yeah.
mind opening because they'll talk about history and they'll talk about your feelings, and they'll talk about love and they'll talk about revolution. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
they'll just cover all these bases because that's what a person does. You know what I mean? They've got all of these different themes inside, and I thought they were just the best.
Yeah.
I'm
Actually my introduction, well, I'm sure I heard Rock the Casbah when I was a kid, but my
yes.
proper introduction to the Clash was Guns of Brixton. That was the first Clash song I
Oh,
heard.
the re-release one, the one that came out, the that Paul put out, the remix, or from that album?
Wait, well, the my older brother had a single that I think had the remix one, but
Yes, a big yellow had a yellow cover.
he had it on he had it on CD.
Okay.
But I gravitated towards what I didn't know was the original version, which was also on that CD.
Yes,
And so
yes.
like this feeling and sound of that version, I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then later on, I was like, oh, this is the Clash, and like that was kind of like the my gateway into them was that song, which is like
Yeah.
not a punk song at all. And so, but that was
No.
it.
That's got that line that I think about all the time. When they kick in your front door, how you going to go with your hands on your head or the trigger, or how you going to come with your hands on your head or the trigger or your gun. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many great lines in that song, and that whole album is fantastic.
I also have a very soft spot for This Is Radio Clash. I really like it.
Oh, me too, dude.
Is
So good. Yeah. And
but that was another thing because This Is Radio Clash was literally them getting involved with the underground hip hop scene.
yes.
And I was like, so like whenever people want to bring up, because I don't like this song, whenever people bring up Rapture by Blondie, I hate that song. But And it was like, oh, it's awful.
Okay.
I think it's awful.
Okay.
But they're like, she was down with like Fab Five Freddy and all the underground hip hop people. I'm all like, this is Radio Clash. That's where you go for that vibe.
Sure.
You don't go to Blondie for that. Blondie's fine, but like comparing
You do
those
like
two
some
songs-
Blondie though, right?
not really, no.
No. Oh, you haven't. No.
I listened to Blondie when I was a kid, but it didn't. It's
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I feel like they came from that Talking Heads, Blondie, Ramones, television. What happened?
I was doing this to Talking Heads. Don't do that. Don't none of that over here. None of
No,
that.
you can't get in the Talking Heads?
Oh, I loathe the Talking Heads. I loathe
You
David
loathe them?
Byrne.
You love David, even his new stuff? All the way. You do not like him. Wow. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. So do you like Devo?
Yes, I like Devo.
Okay.
So
'Cause I
so,
find
so
their vocals, Mark Mothersbaugh and David Byrne, I find their vocals to be very similar.
it's
And I
not
was
the
curious-
it's not the vocals. It comes down to songwriting for the most part, where it's just obnoxiously pretentious to me. Whereas Devo is not obnoxiously
Yeah,
pretentious.
Yeah.
But once again, I understand why some people, look, why a lot of people love the Talking Heads and David Byrne, but any Talking Heads song that comes on annoys the fuck out of me. There's some part in the song where I'll go, "Oh God, this is awful. Can we get rid of this?"
Wow.
Every
Okay.
single one I've ever heard.
Do you listen to television?
I've heard Marquee Moon,
Yeah, Marquee Moon.
which is
What
like
do you think
literally
about
like
that?
it's fine. That to me is like hipster dude. That's their number one album. Like if you don't know a lot about music but you want to impress some people that you're around, you got to be like, I love Marquee Moon. It's just one of those throwaway records. It's like it's good, but it's not that good. It's good though.
Okay. Well, I
So
think
like,
that's
but if
probably-
you're going back to that era of stuff, then give me Gang of Four any day. That fucking
Oh, and
blows
they're-
television
they're
out of the
great.
water.
well,
Or fucking Wire. You know?
well, dude, but both English bands, right? And they've got that whole other vibe. No, I'm with you, and I love both of those bands. I'm 100% in your camp about those two. But around that Marquee Moon record just doesn't hit you.
No, it's not.
I guess-
But it doesn't annoy me at all. Like, there's nothing bad about that record.
So it doesn't Talking Heads you.
No, that's a good. I like that.
Okay.
No, it just doesn't. I've heard it a lot because it was one of those albums that you would hear people talk about a lot. So there's been multiple times in my life that I've gone back to it, and every time I've just gone, "This is fine," but there's other things from the era that I would rather listen to.
Okay, but do you have any American acts from that era that you would listen to? Just out of curiosity, because you're very good at pulling things up by genre, by time, and by scene and all that kind of stuff.
So that would have been late '70s.
Yeah, New York, right?
So
Do you like the Dolls?
the New York Dolls? No,
Yes.
I don't not like them. I just don't. That also doesn't do anything for me.
I think it's because we're 10 years difference in age, I think. That's got to be what it is.
Funny enough, I really like the B-52s.
Oh, I love that band. I love that band.
And I also love like the variety of their stuff starting from the 70s leading up into the 90s. Like I just love they're such a fun band. But anyway,
They are a fun band.
but
totally.
who was around, who was also in America?
Okay, did you like Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers? Did you like them?
No, because I put that in the same camp as like New York Dolls and stuff. Like it's not.
Okay, did you like
It's got to be the age thing because you're naming all these bands, and then I go, if you just wait a few years later, all these amazing bands from America start popping up. Where I
like
think,
who? What
well,
what's
we were talking earlier, like Husker Du and the fucking Replacements, like
Sure.
just like all these bands that are like punk adjacent, but they're not
Yes. Did
necessarily.
you like Soul Asylum?
Yeah, I even like '90s Soul Asylum. I like
Okay,
I like all that shit.
fantastic. All right.
But yeah, but like the '70s stuff, I feel like I am very on the English side of things because I like the British bands that were doing that shit. Even on the side of punk, I think Nevermind the Bollocks is one of the best albums ever made,
Dude, it
and
sounds so good.
it
How does
sounds
it sound
amazing.
so good? How did
And
it sound that good back then? Do you know
no
what I mean?
idea. I don't know. It's
No
fucking
idea.
great. But then on
Right.
top of that, like I also enjoy the Ramones, but to me, there's no competition. There is no Ramones album that is as good as Nevermind the Bollocks. But I also understand why people love the Ramones. And so it's just,
Oh, that's right, because we had a Motorhead talk, and you're just
Motorhead as
kind of
well. I like Motorhead.
okay. Well, yeah, I think the Ramones for me that's just because that's like you said you never really got better at playing the guitar than Kurt Cobain level or whatever.
Yeah.
I never cared to get any better than Johnny Ramone. Like that whole thing for me was like that was the first time that I could put a record on in my room, play the whole thing. And I
Yeah.
could do it over and over and over, like boom, 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 just So those first four Ramones records are so vital. Road to Ruin is one of my favorite records of all time, and it's probably my favorite Ramones record as a record. I mean,
Yeah.
I Want to Be Sedated. I mean, all that stuff is just so good. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah, they don't sound like the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't. They don't. Yeah, they don't
But
have that
in
heavy.
but in America, because I feel like they just sounded like a rock band that was just more stripped down. But then because there was those other bands that were doing the same kind of thing. But like,
You like the Stooges?
yeah, no, I like the Stooges. I'm like for that era. I like MC5. MC5 is
You
great.
mentioned MC5 as a live record when you were
But
talking
but like
to Eddie.
that stuff is good. But if you when all of a sudden you have Black Flag and Bad Brains and shit like that starts happening, to me it makes all of that shit just seem stupid and really boring. Because
Really?
I think I really do think it is an age thing
Yeah,
because
no, it has to be. It has
because
to be.
by
It
the
has to
time
be.
I was already like, into my teenage years, all that stuff was like old people music for the most part,
No, oh, for
but
sure.
the bands that still sounded young to me, because like, hearing the Ramones, even hearing the Clash, I was like, this sounds like old dudes. They're doing this music. But Bad Brains sounded like fucking young people. It sounded
Oh,
like,
no, it's amazing.
so
But
I
they
think,
loved the Ramones, though. That was their whole thing, right? But
well,
they
yeah,
took
you
it to
can.
a whole new place. They took it to a whole new
Yeah.
place.
Well,
Obviously.
there's music that I don't like that I know is so important to the music that I do like. So
Yeah.
so I can't so I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
totally. Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like there are
Right.
musicians that I absolutely fucking love who are influenced by country music. And I'm
Right.
just like, I can't stand it, but I guess it plays a role. Maybe I shouldn't travel back in time and remove all country music because it leads to something good. But like even these,
Yeah.
so it's like bands that I say that I don't like. Like I can't stand the Talking Heads, but I know that they influenced music that I really enjoy.
Okay.
So it's so I which is another one of there's the two big reasons why I don't talk about music I don't like very often is number one, because I know that there's music that's important that I just don't connect with and there's no point. Number two is because there have been bands that I did not like and then 10 years later got really into them. So
Right. Same.
so you asking me about Talking Heads right now in 2024. Well, it's been like 20 years of me hating the Talking Heads, but I mean,
You've tried.
but like, who knows what's going to happen with that? Something might click when I'm 55. I might all of a sudden finally hear some song that will like go, and I'll go, oh, okay. So the thing that annoyed me is a thing that like I just wasn't quite hearing it the right way
Prepared to hear.
or
You weren't
coming at
prepared.
it from the right angle or
Right.
whatever it is. But like I listen to so much music now that, and I have for the past 30 years of my life, but like even now, I listen to so much stuff, old and new, that sometimes I don't have the time to get
Oh,
there.
of course. Yeah,
Um,
you're not even doing it on purpose, right? You just can't get there.
so
There's just
so
other stuff
things
that, yeah.
yeah, so things like this and especially like Cranked and Ranked have been very important for me to force myself to listen to certain things. And then somehow, in certain cases, I've found my way into being a fan of certain bands. So but it's, yeah. So I'm always open to the fact that one day something's going to click with me because that's the best thing in the world. Best thing in the world is when something really clicks with you.
Yes.
Um, and so I don't want to be known as the guy that talks shit about the Talking Heads because it's just like a reaction that I have to it right now, and maybe I'll feel different about it later. And why would I want that to be left on the internet? You know, like
Well, I really hope that I'm here with you when it clicks for you. Not so I can say I told you so, but just so I can go, oh yes, right. That's what I really want to do. You know?
yeah.
Wow.
Now,
That I mean,
the most recent example of that is Judas Priest. That was the one band that wasn't
yeah,
into.
you said that. You weren't into them.
I didn't hate them, but I was not into them at all. And now I'm very much into like all of their stuff, pretty much up until the '90s. But that's a lot of albums, starting from the
That's a
'70s.
lot of
A
albums.
lot of
That's a
albums.
lot of albums.
But if something connects with me, I will devote the time and the money, and I will be all in. So
Right on.
yeah, it happens.
It happens. Where is Edgewater in that record collection back there?
It's down. It's down in the S's under SMIRL.
Okay, got yeah.
So wait, I see Sepultura, so it'll be a little bit
Okay.
after that.
Yeah, that's what you said. You said it was between Sepultura and what's the other one?
I don't know.
You had no, you said my record was between two records, and I liked which two records you said it was. I
I'll
thought
have to
it was
go.
good.
Give me a second. I'll go
Okay,
look.
right on, man.
All right.
Oh, it's way over down there, like off camera down there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll just go ahead and try to entertain your audience with some
Perfect.
sort of
All right. Here's SMIRL. SMIRL is in between.
yes.
You're actually right after a band called Smile that's not very well known from the '90s.
Okay, Smile and then Smurl, which is what
And,
most people think.
and Snoop Dogg.
Oh. Oh, perfect, dude. So I'm right between a band that most people think that is my last name and Snoop Dogg. That's great, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I get mail. Mark Smile. It's so great. It's so great. So great.
Yeah, Smiles are an interesting band because they weren't very big.
Okay.
They had a story kind of like Stick where they got signed, put out an
Yep.
album, and it didn't do very well.
And where were they from?
I think they're from California, but
There you go.
um,
I'm
but
just
um,
testing your knowledge, man. I'm testing your knowledge.
but their first album's really good, but it's very like that sort of post grungy kind of thing. I don't know, not really grungy, but
Okay.
a lot of those bands that were happening like Hum
Yep.
and
I love that band.
like
Yes, right?
things like that. They were like
Yeah.
they were on the other end of the grunge movement, but they weren't grunge. They were like a post-hardcore kind of thing. Anyway,
Oh, you are right about the 90s. They were shooting bands at our head like a motherfucker, weren't
and
they?
so many of them were fucking great.
No, exactly.
And so many of them were so great, and they just didn't happen to sell albums, and then
Right.
they get treated like shit.
Hey man, did you listen to that Rocket from the Crypt yet? I think I made a recommendation for you to listen to.
it's on my Apple Music, but I don't ever go to my Apple Music. Eventually, I go through and listen to stuff,
Okay.
but I'll
I
get
just
there.
want to know what you think about John Reese and well, you said you like Drive Like Jehu.
I like Drive Like Jehu. I like Hot Snakes.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll like Rock from the Crypt as well. So
So good. So good.
yeah,
Yeah. All right, dude. Should we call it? What do you think?
yeah. Let's call it. We've definitely made it enough
Past the 2 hour mark.
for whoever's going to be doing their laundry or whatever during this conversation.
You could fucking have a birthday and then another birthday. And we would still be fucking talking here right now. That'd be awesome. Well,
For those of you who have made it through this whole episode, just remember that we've all aged
right.
2.5 hours.
I forgot that this was even going to be on YouTube. I thought it was just us talking.
That's why these are good.
Okay, all right. All right.
So much of what I do is so like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Oh, gnome.
Yeah. I'm going for gnome stuff, but it doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the third episode of Summum
Bonum.
Bonum.
Right. Which
Summum a bitch.
Summum a bitch. You did summum. I just would like to say that for those of you who are not going to look that up, right? That what does that mean?
The greatest good, right?
Greatest good, the supreme good, the ultimate importance, the singular and most ultimate end to which human beings can pursue.
And you, our show, the way that it's been going out, like this is like our hangout time. So it's
Yes.
almost like you're watching our friendship blossom. And is there anything more good than two
friendship.
humans becoming friends? I think that's
Okay.
one of the greatest goods. That's what the name means.
Okay, for today, for sure, 100%. And so when I come down to Texas, it's going to be funny when I'm sitting in that room with you.
I mean, yeah.
You going to let me in your house?
Yeah,
Ah,
of course.
I don't want to be that good of friends, dude. Right,
No,
I get it.
if you came to my house, I would get you involved in so many videos. I would just be like, look, you're here. Just, we're gonna have to like have a do a video just of us meeting in person for the first time, and we can do like that
Slow motion hugging.
no, we'll do that. We'll do that scene from Predator where he's like, "You son of a bitch," and then they
Oh, Jack!
we'll do
That's
that.
so good. That's so awesome.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Are you still a son of a bitch, you son of a bitch? Right.
Nobody
Well,
says that. That's a word. Nobody says son of a bitch anymore.
No, they don't like it.
I miss it.
But that's like, it'll be like me, Han Solo and Lando Calrissian. Well, you got a lot of nerve.
Oh,
That was another classic,
Yeah.
what's going on here? But then it was just a joke. There's not near as many muscles in that one, but it was still good.
But at the end, like Lando betrays them in that movie, doesn't he? He does.
Yes, but doesn't that other guy betray him?
Fuck, I don't know. I haven't seen those movies.
I think he does. I think wasn't he an ex-CIA guy? And there was a little bit of fucking around in there, right?
Oh, you're right. You're right. I got to get back and watch Predator again too.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go watch Predator right now. And
Okay.
we'll recommend that everybody else does that too. Goodbye.